I never used to believe that time could slow down at the worst possible moment. People say that cliché about life flashing before your eyes. I always figured it was an exaggeration, a melodramatic expression. But let me tell you, the day I came home from a canceled business trip and found my wife with another man in our bedroom, everything around me seemed to crawl like I was wading through deep water. I'd gotten the call around noon that my flight was canceled due to a severe thunderstorm. The airline offered to reschedule me for the following morning. The meeting I was headed to in Chicago was urgent, but apparently not urgent enough to risk flying in the middle of a chaotic weather pattern. So I decided to head back home, imagining an impromptu evening with Victoria. Maybe watch some comedy show on Netflix, order takeout from that new Thai place. I'd even pictured her face lighting up, pleasantly surprised that I was home earlier than planned. As I turned my key in the lock, I remember noticing that her car was in the driveway, which wasn't strange at all. She worked from home part-time. She was a VP of marketing at a company called Brighter Edge Tech. They had flexible hours and a lot of remote perks. No red flags. If anything, I thought, great, we can spend the afternoon together. But the second I stepped inside, I heard muffled voices, a male voice, and Victoria's voice. They weren't talking. It was more like moaning, soft, broken moans that froze me in place. My mind started racing. Was the TV on? Had she put on some weird show in the bedroom? But no, my gut churned, telling me the truth before my brain even processed it. I pushed the bedroom door open, and there they were, Victoria and Miles. He was one of her subordinates, a name I'd heard in passing. The sight was immediate, searing. Miles half-naked, Victoria's blouse undone, her hair a mess, eyes wide with shock. Time nearly stopped. I felt my heart hammering, but the rest of me felt paralyzed. My first instinct was to yell, to break something, to grab Miles by the throat. But the strangest thing happened. I went cold. No shouting. No meltdown. Just a razor-sharp clarity slicing through my brain. Miles scrambled to grab his pants from the floor. He looked at me, panic in his eyes, then bolted toward the hallway like a startled deer. Victoria tried to speak, but her voice came out in trembling gasps. "Glenn, wait, It's not just I'm sorry, it's a mistake." I stared at her, no expression crossing my face. All that raged inside me was contained behind a wall of ice. I didn't scream. I didn't threaten. I just let my silence do the talking. She scrambled up from the bed, tried to fix her disheveled clothes. "Glenn," she repeated, tears forming. "This isn't what you think. I mean, God, I'm so sorry. It was just once. Please believe me." Her voice trembled with desperation, but I wasn't sure I believed a single syllable. "Pack a bag," I said, my tone as calm as a lake at midnight. My own calm surprised even me. "I want you out of here, at least for tonight." She looked stricken, stepping toward me like she wanted to grab my hands, apologize, or beg for forgiveness. But I stepped back. "I'm not going to hurt you, Victoria, but if you stay here right now, I can't promise I won't do something I'll regret." Her eyes flicked back and forth, scanning my face for any sign of softness or mercy. She found none. I repeated, "Pack a bag." She spun around in a flurry, tears streaming down her cheeks as she zipped up her skirt and grabbed random clothes from the closet. In the corner of my eye, I saw movement by the open window. Miles was gone, presumably out the back door. Good riddance. I turned away, heading back to the living room, letting her do the frantic packing. My hands were shaking, though. I won't lie and say I was some stoic machine. Inside, I was all torn up wires and sparking rage. But on the surface, I kept that icy composure. Years of working as a financial consultant had taught me how to keep steady under pressure, how to present the best face even when things go to hell. Victoria stumbled out, her hair a tangled mess, carrying a small duffel bag. She tried to speak again. "Glenn, I know you're furious. I didn't mean we can talk, please, we can fix—" I cut her off by opening the front door. "We'll talk when I'm ready," I said, not meeting her eyes. "Right now, go." She sniffled, tears rolling down her cheeks, and walked out. I shut the door quietly. I didn't slam it. There was no sense in giving the neighbors a show. Speaking of neighbors, as soon as I closed the door, I spotted Allison peering over the fence. She was our teenage neighbor, maybe 16 or 17. She must have heard something. She looked both curious and horrified. I managed a nod at her, a weird attempt at politeness. "Everything okay?" she asked, voice uncertain. I forced a small, stiff smile. "We're fine. Sorry if it was noisy." She nodded, clearly unconvinced, then slipped away. For a second, the humiliating thought hit me. The neighbors heard my wife with another man. The shame felt suffocating. But ironically, it also strengthened my resolve. This was real. This wasn't some trivial spat. Standing alone in the living room, I stared at the place where I'd once hung wedding photos. The frames were all around me, each capturing a moment in time, her smile in a white dress, my grin that day I truly believed we'd last forever. That memory felt centuries away. I exhaled slowly. Then I headed to my study, locked the door behind me. I had decisions to make. My phone buzzed repeatedly with calls from Victoria. I silenced it, not yet in the frame of mind to handle her excuses. I needed to gather myself first. My thoughts were a messy swirl of heartbreak, fury, confusion, but overshadowing it all was a surprising sense of cold calculation. I'd spent so many years supporting her career. Late nights, weekends, me cooking dinner while she was on conference calls. Yet here she was, hooking up with a colleague in my own damn bed. My bed. That stung on a level words can't describe. Eventually, I forced myself to focus. If I gave in to the anger, I'd break a lamp or punch a hole in the wall. And that wouldn't help. If I was going to respond, I needed to plan a step-by-step approach, like analyzing a complex financial portfolio. So I pulled out a yellow notepad and started scribbling. Assets we share. House, car, joint account. Legal steps if I want a divorce. Potential fallout if she tries to claim something from me. Her role at Brighter Edge Tech. Miles's role. Potential angles there. I know it sounds ruthless, listing bullet points about your marriage collapse. But I refused to be blindsided by emotion alone. She had blindsided me enough for the both of us. Night fell, and I stayed barricaded in the study. My stomach growled, but I couldn't muster the energy to eat. I was too keyed up. The phone was still lighting up with missed calls, some from Victoria, some from unknown numbers, probably Miles, though I wasn't sure. I didn't answer any. After hours of pacing and scribbling notes, I realized I needed intel. I had no idea if this affair was some random fling or something bigger. If Miles was working directly under her, maybe this was about power, or maybe it was purely sexual. All I knew was that Miles had a face that reminded me of a smarmy salesman, charming, but with eyes that never quite matched his smile. Victoria had mentioned him once or twice, calling him one of the junior guys on my team. I never suspected a thing. I grabbed my phone and scrolled to Reed's number. Reed was an old friend from college, an IT security expert with connections in the corporate world. If anyone could dig up background on Miles discreetly, it was him. I typed out a text. "Reed, need a favor. Can you run a check on a guy named Miles? Last name whatever, I'll find out soon. Possibly some skeletons in his work history? We'll explain later." I hit send. Then I stared at the notepad again, the shape of a plan forming. Step 1, gather info. Step 2, decide how to use it. Around midnight, I heard the front door rattle. My pulse spiked. Was Victoria coming back? I walked out of the study, footsteps cautious, but it was just the wind. The door was locked. The house was dark. I flipped on a lamp. The living room felt eerily quiet. No hum of the TV, no soft music playing, no chatter from Victoria about her day at the office. Instead, just me and the echoes of a marriage that, for all I knew, died that afternoon. The logical part of me said, file for divorce, get it over with. But another part whispered, she humiliated you. She lied. She used your bed. Rage simmered. I didn't just want a divorce. I wanted accountability. If that meant shining a spotlight on her misdeeds, so be it. I decided not to call any family members or mutual friends yet. Better to keep this quiet until I knew my next move. The last thing I wanted was to be swarmed by in-laws or well-meaning buddies urging me to talk it out. No, this was between me, her, and the man she let into my home. By the time I crawled into bed, the guest bed, mind you, it was nearly 3 a.m., I couldn't bring myself to sleep in the master bedroom with the ghosts of what had happened. Lying on the smaller mattress, I stared at the ceiling, replaying the moment I'd walked in. Over and over. Sleep didn't come easy. The next morning, I woke up still in my clothes from the previous day. A dull headache throbbed behind my eyes. I freshened up, shaved, changed into a crisp shirt and slacks. I had meetings at my own office. My clients had pressing financial matters, mergers, acquisitions, big deals. Life, ironically, didn't pause just because my personal world collapsed. Before leaving, I peeked outside. Victoria's car was gone from the driveway. Good. She'd listened to me for once. I hopped into my own car and headed to work. Traffic gave me too much time to think. My mind churned with questions. How long had this gone on? Was it only Miles? Was she telling him my personal secrets, my business strategies? The possibilities gnawed at me. By the time I arrived at the office, I had a knot in my stomach. At my desk, I forced myself into normalcy. My colleagues, none the wiser, greeted me with the usual pleasantries. I said something generic about my flight being canceled. A couple of them teased, "Hey, Glenn, at least you got a day off." If only they knew. Mid-morning, my phone vibrated. Reed had replied, "Got some preliminary stuff. Miles Eckhart, 31, previously worked at 2 firms, left under suspicious circumstances, possibly hush money. Let's talk tonight?" My heart pounded. Hush money? Suspicious circumstances? That meant Miles had a track record. This might be bigger than just an affair. If he was a known manipulator, then it was possible he'd been using Victoria's position or resources. My mind raced at the potential angles. Shortly after, my desk phone lit up with the receptionist's voice. "Glenn, there's a woman here, says she's your wife, insists on speaking with you. Victoria." I told the receptionist politely, "Please ask her to wait outside. I'll come down." Then I took a deep breath, gathering my composure. My coworker across the partition gave me a questioning look. I just shrugged. Time to face the music, I supposed. Downstairs, I found Victoria standing by the lobby's glass doors, eyes redrimmed, hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. She wore a simple blouse and jeans, unusual for her, as she usually dressed sharper for work. She must have come here in a hurry. She opened her mouth as soon as she saw me. "Glenn, please. I made the biggest mistake of my life. I can't lose you." It wasn't supposed to happen. Miles cornered me. I was weak. He said all these flattering things, then one thing led to another. I held up my hand. "Stop." My voice was quiet but firm. "This isn't the place. I have a job to do. You can't show up here demanding an audience." She swallowed hard, tears brimming. "But you won't answer my calls. How else can I talk to you?" I tried not to feel pity. "We'll talk eventually, just not now." Then, leaning in a bit closer, I added in a murmur, "And if you think this is only about you and me, you're wrong. Miles is going to pay for what he's done, too." Her eyes widened with confusion, or maybe fear. "What do you mean? He's nobody. Glenn, I love you. I swear." She sounded desperate, on the verge of breaking down. "You're my husband. He doesn't matter to me. It was a stupid fling." "Then why did you pick him over me in our bed?" My words came out sharper than I intended, but I didn't regret them. "I'm not filing for divorce yet, because I want to see how deep this runs. I suspect there's more going on at Brighter Edge than you realize. Until I find out, you stay away from me at home, and don't show up at my work again. Understood?" She seemed rattled, tears slipping down her cheeks. She gave a small, quivering nod. "Yes. Glenn, please, can I do anything?" I tilted my head, scanning her face. The old me might have melted at her tears, but not today. "Pack up anything you need from the house clothes. Toiletries do it while I'm at work so I don't see you. Then leave your key on the table." "Where am I supposed to go?" I shrugged. "Hotel, friend's place, I don't care, just not the house." She looked like she might argue, but my expression must have convinced her otherwise. Slowly, she turned away. "I'll do as you say," she whispered. "I'm so sorry." My heart twisted painfully, but I kept my face stone cold. We'll see if sorry is enough. Then I spun on my heel and left, ignoring the stares from a few onlookers in the lobby. When I got back to my desk, my coffee was cold, my appetite non-existent. All I could do was bury myself in spreadsheets for the next few hours, scheduling calls, reviewing proposals, trying to act normal. But every few minutes, my mind wandered. Miles Eckhart. Corporate hush money. That means trouble. Possibly for him, possibly for Victoria. if they'd misused company resources, or if Miles was leveraging her position. The possibilities were endless. My gut told me I'd only scratched the surface, and something in me, some dark, steely corner, almost relished the idea of taking them both down. By the time I left the office, my phone had 17 missed calls from Victoria. I deleted them without listening. My next stop would be a quiet bar near the outskirts of town. I'd texted Reed to meet me there. We needed to talk strategy. I walked out to my car. The sun was setting, painting the sky in oranges and pinks. A gorgeous twilight, ironically. I took a deep breath, trying to steel myself for the night ahead. If Victoria thought tears alone would fix this, she was dead wrong. And if Miles believed he could scuttle away unscathed, he had another thing coming. I arrived at the Rustic Pine around 7. It was a small, dimly lit bar, more polished than a dive, but still local enough that I felt comfortable. I found Reed at a corner booth. He wore his usual wire-rimmed glasses, laptop out, half-finished beer next to it. When he saw me, he raised a brow. "Glenn, my man, I take it you're not here for a social call?" I slid into the seat across from him. "Wish it was just a social call, but no. You got something on Miles Eckhart for me?" Reed nodded, fingers tapping his keyboard. "Been doing a little digging. Now, official records just show he left his last job at Helion Media voluntarily, but rumor unconfirmed says they paid him off to avoid a lawsuit. Something about him hooking up with a senior manager, possibly extortion. The details are murky." He glanced at me. "That ring any bells?" A bitter laugh escaped my throat. "He's definitely hooking up with at least one senior manager at his current place. My wife." I grimaced, swirling the water the waitress had brought me. Reed's eyes widened. "So it's personal." "You have no idea," I muttered. "He's messing with the wrong guy. I want to see if I can find a pattern, like maybe he targets successful women, manipulates them, blackmails them. Who knows?" Reed exhaled. "That's a possibility. Let's see." He typed a few lines on his laptop. I also found a second job he had, at a smaller startup named SwiftSpark. The place folded about 3 years back. Miles was there about 8 months, left right before the company collapsed. Some hush-hush settlement again? If that's a pattern, he's basically a ticking time bomb. I nodded, my pulse pounding. Then Victoria is just his latest meal ticket. Reed shot me a sympathetic look. "You sure you want to drag this out? Could be messy." I stared at my reflection in the wood grain of the table. "I'm sure. He screwed with my marriage. I'm not looking to let him walk away unscathed." Reed nodded slowly. "All right, I'll keep digging. But watch your back. Guys like him, they get desperate." I pushed out a long breath. Desperate or not, I'm done rolling over. We spent the next hour analyzing the digital footprints. Reed had found Miles's social media account's Instagram, mostly pictures of him partying, LinkedIn full of self-congratulatory posts about marketing achievements. He also discovered Miles was buddy-buddy with certain questionable figures who had track records of corporate sabotage. None of this was definitive proof, but it painted a picture of a man who thrived in shady territory. "All that said," Reed concluded, shutting his laptop, "it's not bulletproof evidence. You'd need something more solid to bury him." I sipped my beer. "I'll get it. Meanwhile, keep me posted. If you find official documents or ex-co-workers who want to talk, let me know. I have resources." By resources, I meant my longtime friend Malcolm, who was also my legal counsel. He specialized in corporate lawsuits and family law, a lethal combination in this scenario. Reed smirked. "Understood. I'll keep this between us." I thanked him, picked up the tab, and left the Rustic Pine with a swirling sense of determination. The next steps: talk to Malcolm, gather more evidence, figure out a strategy to corner Miles. And in the background, the question of what to do with Victoria. Part of me wanted to see if her regret was genuine. Another part insisted I never trust her again. But for now, I couldn't let emotional confusion hamper my goal. Step by step, I'd handle Miles first. When I got home, the house was dark. I flicked the lights on. Sure enough, Victoria had come by. Some of her clothes were missing from the closet, and the spare key was left on the dining table. No note. Good. I preferred it that way. I strode into my bedroom, and froze. The bed was still unmade from the day before. Instantly, my mind replayed the image of them. I felt a wave of nausea. Gritting my teeth, I stripped the sheets, comforter, everything, tossed it all into a trash bag. I'd burn them if I could, but that might be a bit dramatic. Instead, I dragged the bag out to the curb. Let the garbage collectors take it away. Back inside, I collapsed onto the bare mattress, fully clothed. Anger thrummed in my veins, but beneath it, a haunting sadness threatened to swallow me. Why'd she do it? Weren't we happy enough? We used to share jokes, plan vacations, confide in each other. Where did we go so wrong? I closed my eyes. Sleep came fitfully, haunted by half-formed nightmares of Victoria whispering to Miles, of me standing in the background powerless. But each time the nightmares threatened to break me, I reminded myself, I have a plan. The following day, I arranged a lunch meeting with Malcolm. He was an old friend from college, now a lawyer with a reputation for ruthless negotiation. I caught him up on the basics: Victoria's affair, Miles's background, my suspicions of blackmail or sabotage at her company. Malcolm listened carefully, chewing on a chicken wrap. When I finished, he dabbed his mouth with a napkin. So, you want a divorce? That's straightforward enough. Infidelity is grounds in this state. But I sense you want something more than just a legal separation. I nodded. I want to make sure Miles doesn't get away with whatever game he's playing. And I want to see if Victoria's involvement was deeper than just sex. She's a VP at Brighter Edge. If she used company funds, or if Miles manipulated her into shady deals, that might be leverage. Maybe they both broke corporate policy. Malcolm's eyes sparkled with professional interest. Certainly possible. But you need evidence, because rumor or suspicion isn't enough. If you're aiming to expose them to her board, to the media, or even in court, you need a paper trail or witness testimonies, something bulletproof. I leaned forward, voice low. I have an IT contact, Reed, who's digging. He found some allegations about Miles's past. Not official, but enough to suspect a pattern. If I can prove Miles blackmailed her, that means we're dealing with extortion. Even if Victoria tries to deny it, I can use it as leverage in divorce negotiations or to ensure a more favorable settlement. Malcolm nodded thoughtfully. And if she's been complicit in financial wrongdoing, that's even more leverage. You could push for a settlement that leaves you with the house, the savings, maybe even alimony, ironically, depending on her paycheck and the circumstances. She's a higher earner, right? She is, I confirmed. She's made more than me in the last 2 years. Not that I want a handout, but I want to make sure she doesn't profit after betraying me. Malcolm gave a half grin. We can structure it however you like. Just be sure your thirst for revenge doesn't overshadow your personal well-being. These things can get messy. I stared at my untouched sandwich. She made it messy first. He nodded. Fair enough. Let's do this. Gather all the digital evidence you can: texts, emails, hotel receipts. If you can find any sign of them funneling company money for personal use, that's gold. Meanwhile, I'll start drafting the initial divorce paperwork. We don't have to file it tomorrow, but let's be prepared. Also, a letter of intent in case we want to approach Brighter Edge's board. My heart hammered at the potential scale of this, but I couldn't deny a cold satisfaction stirring. Yes, let's go for it. That afternoon, I texted Victoria, telling her we needed to talk eventually, but not at the house. She suggested a coffee shop across town. Fine. I arrived early, grabbed a corner booth, my posture tense. She walked in, eyes darting around nervously. She looked worn out, dark circles under her eyes, hair pulled into a low ponytail. She wore a blazer, probably trying to maintain some semblance of professionalism. She slid into the seat across from me, folded her hands on the table. Glenn, she began softly, thank you for meeting. I want to say again how sorry I am. I was weak. Miles was flattering me, praising my ideas, telling me I deserved better. It started as just talk then. I made a mistake. Her eyes watered. I know that doesn't fix anything. I kept my face neutral. How many times? She blinked. What? How many times did you sleep with him? She stared at the tabletop. A few, 3 times total, or 4. I don't know. Rage flared inside, but I kept my cool. So it wasn't just once, I said, voice steady. Don't lie to me again. A tear slid down her cheek. I'm not lying. It was a handful. It's so embarrassing to admit. He made me feel powerful or special, like I was unstoppable at work. But each time I felt sick, I was going to end it. I watched her carefully. Why was he so interested in your career, specifically? She shrugged. He wanted me to push his projects, get him recognized by the board, maybe help him climb faster. I didn't see it clearly at first. He was charming, I scoffed. So he used flattery and sex to get your backing. That means you were complicit in boosting him? Her expression darkened. I guess so. I mean, yes, I recommended him to my boss, told them he had great ideas. I never gave him money or anything, if that's what you're asking. But maybe I was naive. I leaned back, crossing my arms. Sounds like he manipulated you, but that doesn't excuse you letting him in my bed. She lowered her head. I know, I'm so ashamed. We sat in silence for a moment, the tension thick. Finally, I spoke. From now on, we only communicate when necessary. I'm exploring legal options. If I find that you or Miles did anything illegal with Brighter Edge's resources, I won't hesitate to use it in the divorce proceedings. Her eyes snapped up. Wait, divorce? Glenn, please, can't we talk about trying to fix this? I almost laughed. Fix it? You think I can just forget what I saw? That you can keep your job and your mistake stays a secret? Not likely? Her lips trembled. I get it. You're hurt. But I love you. I just got caught up with him. I never planned to leave you. Can't we do marriage counseling or something? I studied her tearful face. Part of me felt a pang of longing for the old Victoria I married, but I recalled the images of her entwined with Miles in our room. The pain overshadowed the longing. Finally, I shook my head. If you truly loved me, you wouldn't have let him do that repeatedly. So we're done. The only question is how messy it gets. If you cooperate with me in the divorce, maybe it won't blow up in your face publicly. Her face went pale. She realized the threat. Are you talking about telling the board? I shrugged. Why not? They deserve to know if a VP and her subordinate were involved in unethical behavior. Tears slipped down her cheeks. You're punishing me, I get it. But please remember the good years we had. Don't ruin me completely. My expression hardened. Should have thought of that before you got into bed with Miles. I'll do what I have to. She flinched as though I'd slapped her, then gave a small nod. I guess I deserve that. She rose from the table. I'll wait for your instructions. With that, she hurried out of the coffee shop, trying to hide her tears. I sat there, letting the coffee go cold, my emotions swirling. A part of me recognized how harsh I sounded. But what else was I supposed to do? She had betrayed me in the most personal way. The ring on my finger felt like a lie now. My vow to cherish and protect meaningless when she'd let another man into our bedroom. I texted Malcolm a quick update. She confessed multiple times. In bed with Miles. Possibly used her influence for him. She's terrified of me telling the board. We can use that. He replied swiftly, Understood. Let's proceed carefully. As I left, I felt the stares of a few patrons who'd probably overheard snippets. I kept my head high, determined not to show an ounce of shame. She should be the one feeling shame, not me. That evening, I decided to stay at a newly rented condo. I'd quietly set it up the day before, anticipating I might need a private space to think and store documents. The condo was sparse, just some basic furniture, a bed, and a table, but it served as a sanctuary away from the memories of my marriage. That night, I spent hours combing through personal records, pulling up credit card statements, scanning for suspicious charges. Sure enough, I spotted a few hotel transactions that didn't align with my travel or hers. Times I was out of town, but apparently she'd used a card near that same hotel. More puzzle pieces. I also found a few lumps of cash withdrawn from her personal savings. Nothing huge, but the timing coincided with random team-building events she'd mentioned. Possibly money spent on Miles. I compiled all of it in a neat digital folder labeled Evidence. The rage that pulsed in my veins was fierce, but again I channeled it into methodical tasks. If I let it consume me, I'd just end up smashing windows or sending her hateful messages, which wouldn't solve a thing. This was bigger than venting anger. This was about building a case, ensuring I ended up on top. The next few days were a blur of strategic moves. Malcolm updated me on legal filing details. Reed sniffed around ex-colleagues of Miles. I heard from him that there was a rumor Miles once threatened a female manager with leaked pictures if she didn't vouch for his promotion. That never made official news because she caved, apparently. The pattern was clear. Miles used sex and intimidation as stepping stones. Meanwhile, Victoria texted me once, saying she'd moved in temporarily with a friend, Allison, not the teen neighbor, obviously, but a co-worker named Allison Miller, coincidentally the same first name as our neighbor. I gave a terse reply. "That's fine, don't come to the house," she complied. One morning, Amber, a colleague of Victoria's who'd grown fed up with Miles, reached out to me quietly via phone. She introduced herself as Amber Jansen and said she knew I was Victoria's husband. Then she said something that made my pulse spike. "I can confirm Miles was pushing her to sign off on certain budgets for his personal side projects. He's done it before, rumor has it. But your wife, Victoria, she was giving him special consideration. I saw emails that seemed inappropriate. I didn't want to blow the whistle in the office, but if you're serious about exposing him, I might be able to help." I inhaled sharply. "That's extremely helpful. I need details, though. Emails, documents, anything. Are you willing to share?" She hesitated. "Yes, but I have to be discreet. I don't trust half the people in upper management. Miles had a knack for worming his way into folks' good graces. If I do this, I want anonymity." "Understood," I said. "I'll keep you out of it as best I can, but I might need your testimony if it goes to court." She gave a nervous laugh. "Let's see how this unfolds first. But I'm with you. He's a snake. Let's see him squirm." That call ended with a jolt of excitement. If Amber really had those emails, I could show the board that Miles manipulated Victoria for financial gain. Not just an affair, an actual misuse of funds. That would bury Miles. Possibly bury Victoria too, but at this point I wasn't exactly feeling charitable toward her. Late that night, I sat in my condo, the laptop open to my growing folder of evidence. I sipped a strong whiskey, letting the burn calm my nerves. My phone glowed with a text from Malcolm. "We can blow this wide open soon. Just confirm timeline." I typed back, "Let's do it next week. I want to finalize the info from Amber." Then I shut my phone off. I stared at the blank wall, wondering how I ever came to this point plotting a coup against my wife, or soon-to-be ex-wife. But I reminded myself that she lit the match. She brought Miles into our lives. She let him violate my space. Now, I was simply ensuring the fallout landed on them, not me. I set the whiskey down, feeling the swirl of conflicting emotions. The sadness occasionally tried to choke me, but I shoved it aside. Let them both pay the price. No more illusions. In the days that followed, I became a master of deception, going about my daily routine at my financial consulting firm as though nothing was amiss. Co-workers asked how my canceled flight turned out, and I gave a light chuckle or a small anecdote, never revealing the volcanic shift in my personal life. If they noticed a certain tightness around my eyes, they didn't comment. Meanwhile, I coordinated with Malcolm, Reed, and Amber behind the scenes. Amber emailed me screenshots from her personal account, messages from Miles nudging Victoria to approve the budget reallocation or fast-track that marketing campaign so I can get credit. Clear evidence that Miles was overstepping. Also, some attachments where Miles implied, "We can celebrate this in private, right? Meet me at the hotel?" Victoria's replies were somewhat hesitant, but she never outright refused. She even said in one, "I can slip that expense through as part of the new branding push." Damning. Reading them made my stomach churn. Not only had she cheated, she'd let him manipulate her professional duties. Whether it was purely misguided romance or blackmail, I didn't know. But I knew it was my golden ticket to ensure a brutal divorce settlement in my favor, plus a career disaster for Miles. One morning, Malcolm called me, his voice rife with excitement. "I've compiled the documents you forwarded from Amber. With your permission, I'll request a private meeting with Brighter Edge's board, specifically Valerie, the board member you mentioned." "Yes," I said. "Tell them I'd like to present evidence of internal misconduct by Miles and possibly Victoria. I suspect they'd want to handle it quietly, at least at first." "Of course," Malcolm agreed. "But no, this might nuke Victoria's job. Are you sure that's what you want?" I stared at the condo's ceiling. The question made my heart twist. Did I truly want to see her jobless? She'd worked so hard to climb that corporate ladder, but images of her and Miles in my bed sprang to mind. "Yes," a cold voice inside me answered. She made her bed. Let her face the consequences. I cleared my throat. Yes, I'm sure. Malcolm exhaled. All right, Glenn. Let's do it. That same afternoon, Reed texted me about new intel. Miles was apparently bragging around the office about landing a massive deal. Amber said it was nonsense he was faking numbers. Maybe he was trying to salvage his rep before the ship sank. If that was true, it was the perfect opening for me to strike. Let him stand tall, then watch him crash when the board sees the real data. As the weekend approached, tension gnawed at me. I half expected Victoria to try one last grand plea for mercy, or maybe Miles to threaten me. But there was silence from both, which almost felt ominous. On Saturday morning, I decided to drive by the house to check on things. The lawn was overgrown, newspapers piled on the porch. Clearly, Victoria hadn't been back. I used my key to step inside. The air smelled stale, the fridge nearly empty. I felt an ache this had been my home, once brimming with normal married life. Now it was a ghost town. I climbed the stairs to the bedroom. The memory of that day came rushing back again. I swallowed hard, forced myself to keep moving. I rummaged through the closet, grabbed a few personal items I still wanted, including my old basketball trophies, random nostalgic stuff. I shoved them into a box. As I did, I stumbled upon Victoria's wedding dress, sealed in a protective garment bag. My hands shook as I brushed the plastic. That day, it felt so pure. Now it was all a lie. I yanked my hand away and left it there. I'd let the lawyers handle dividing property. I couldn't stand to look at it any longer. Monday dawned. Malcolm had managed to secure a hush-hush meeting with Valerie and a couple of the Brighter Edge board members for Tuesday evening. The plan: we'd present the evidence quietly, letting them see the scale of Miles's wrongdoing and possibly Victoria's complicity. If all went well, the board might take swift action, possibly firing them both for misconduct or at least launching an internal investigation. That would give me massive leverage in the divorce. But as we prepped for the meeting, something else came onto my radar. Victoria started texting me about, "We need to talk, urgent. Miles is spinning a story about you. He's telling people you're the manipulative one, trying to sabotage me." I read her texts with a mix of disbelief and anger. Miles had the audacity to paint me as a saboteur? That's rich. I ignored her messages for the moment, focusing on the meeting. Let them talk. That afternoon, a coworker of mine tapped me on the shoulder. "Hey, Glenn, there's a guy up front asking for you, says his name is Miles." My chest tightened. He actually came to my workplace? I set my jaw. I'll handle it. Marching to the reception area, I spotted him by the window, wearing a smug expression. He straightened his posture when he saw me approach. "Glenn," he said, voice low, "we need a word." I gave a polite but chilly smile. "You're trespassing, Miles." He rolled his eyes. "I'm not trespassing. It's a public office building. Relax. Let's talk in private, yeah?" I gestured for him to step outside. We ended up near the sidewalk, a few passers-by glancing curiously. Miles turned to me, crossing his arms. He was about my height but slimmer, with a carefully groomed beard. "Look, man," he began, "I don't know what's going through your head, but Victoria and it's complicated. She wanted me. She's an adult. You can't blame me for everything." My stomach churned with rage. I folded my arms. "You came all the way here to spout that?" He sighed as if I was being dense. "We're both grown men. We can work something out. No need to drag the board into this. If you're planning to blow up her career, you'll just look vengeful. Maybe the three of us can arrange a quiet settlement." I barked a humorless laugh. "You want me to quietly settle your affair with my wife?" He smirked, that arrogant tilt of the head. "It's better than a scandal. I know you're digging around my past. Don't think I don't have ways to dig into yours. We can both get ugly, but that's not good for Victoria. If you really cared about her, you wouldn't want to see her destroyed." I took a step forward, voice cold as ice. "Don't you dare talk about caring for her. You used her. She's terrified you'll leak pictures or smear her name. Do you deny that?" Miles scoffed. "She loves me in her own way. You just can't accept that she found excitement with someone else. That's your insecurity, not my problem. If you want to publicly wage war, go ahead. But I have copies of everything, photos, messages, little confessions from her." I'll spin it so it looks like she initiated all the shady deals, if that's what you want. She'll face the brunt, not me. Think carefully before you make your move." I seethed at his audacity. "You threaten me?" He shrugged. "I'm giving you a heads up. Ruining me might ruin her too. So if you have a shred of love for your wife, keep this private. We can do a quiet handshake, you walk away with some dignity, and we avoid mutual destruction." My fists clenched, but I forced calm. "You're a coward, Miles. Trying to blackmail me with the well-being of the woman you supposedly care about? Let me guess. You do this to all your conquest lovers?" His jaw tightened. "I'm offering a practical solution." I exhaled slowly. "No, you're offering a con job. Get off my property or I'll call security." He hesitated, then gave a mocking little bow. "Your funeral, Glenn. Remember? I tried to be civil." With that, he turned and strode away, leaving me trembling with fury on the sidewalk. I returned to my desk, my mind ablaze. My coworker asked if everything was okay. I just gave a curt nod. Miles had threatened me. I texted Malcolm. Miles confronted me, threatening to blame Victoria for everything, possibly blackmail. We still proceed. He replied instantly, "Yes, proceed." I replayed Miles's words. He clearly had pictures or messages that could hurt Victoria or spin the narrative that she orchestrated the shady finances. My chest tightened with conflicting emotions. As much as she betrayed me, did I want her life entirely incinerated by his manipulations? She was still my wife, albeit unfaithful. But I reminded myself, she made her bed. I had no obligation to shield her from the consequences. Still, the meeting with the board was crucial. I could present evidence that Miles was the puppet master. If that also exposed Victoria's compliance, so be it. At least that would overshadow Miles's attempt to place the blame solely on her. Let the board see them both as guilty, but Miles as the bigger manipulator. Maybe that was the best path. Tuesday evening arrived. I headed downtown to a private conference room Malcolm had booked. Valerie from Brighter Edge, along with two other board members, Miss Holcomb and Mr. Braxton, were seated at a polished wooden table. They offered polite greetings, though their expressions were tense. They didn't quite know what to expect. I introduced myself calmly, stating that I was there with Malcolm, my legal counsel, to address grave misconduct involving a Brighter Edge employee named Miles Eckhart and possibly my wife, Victoria. I saw Valerie's lips pressed together. She was aware of rumors, but not the depth. We started with the basics. Malcolm displayed the emails from Amber, carefully redacting her name for anonymity. The board members' faces grew grave as they read lines like, "I can slip that expense through as part of the new branding push," or Miles's coded references to hooking up in hotels. Then I showed them additional texts from Miles, bragging about, "The marketing budget is my playground." Valerie's expression darkened. "This is worse than I feared," she murmured. "And Victoria was directly involved?" Malcolm interjected, "We have strong indications that she was coerced or manipulated, but either way, she participated. However, the main architect seems to be Miles." Miss Holcomb frowned. "Are we certain Victoria was coerced? These messages make her look willing." I held my cool. "I can't say for sure how much was consensual or forced, but Miles certainly has a pattern of leveraging relationships for personal gain, as I've discovered from his past 2 jobs. It's possible Victoria fell for his charm or blackmail. She's my wife, so obviously I'm biased. But what's clear is that he's violating multiple ethical standards and potentially costing the company money." Mr. Braxton flipped through the printed pages. "This is extremely serious. Why come to us now, rather than going public or to the media?" I set my jaw. "Because I'd prefer to handle it privately. My objective isn't to see Brighter Edge destroyed. I just want accountability. Miles has threatened to spin the narrative, potentially harming my wife's reputation while he slithers away." Valerie nodded, her posture rigid. "We appreciate the chance to address it internally. We'll need time to verify these documents, but rest assured we don't tolerate such behavior. If Miles truly exploited a VP's position for personal agendas, he'll face termination and possible legal consequences." Malcolm added, "There's also a matter of potential extortion. My client is prepared to testify that Miles threatened him if he exposed the affair. We can produce further witness statements if necessary." The board members exchanged glances, tension thick in the air. Finally, Valerie said, "We'll investigate swiftly. It might require formal interviews with your wife, Mr. Glenn. Are you prepared for that?" A pang of guilt flickered in my chest. "Yes," I said flatly. "She brought this on herself." The meeting concluded with the board promising immediate action. They asked us to keep the documents confidential while they launched an internal inquiry. I shook their hands politely, face impassive. Outside, Malcolm patted my shoulder. "Good job. We made a strong case. Now it's in their hands. They'll probably want to question Victoria and Miles. A meltdown might occur soon." I nodded, letting out a breath. I'm ready for it. But deep inside, a part of me braced for chaos. If Miles was cornered, he might unleash whatever blackmail he had. If Victoria was grilled by the board, she might realize I'd contributed to her downfall. The last remnants of my pity for her churned uncomfortably. Too late to turn back now. Sure enough, the meltdown arrived the next day. Victoria called me in a panic around noon. "Glenn," she said, voice shaking, "the board summoned me. They confronted me with emails between me and Miles and something about budgets." Did you give them that? This is so humiliating. They threatened suspension. I kept my tone steady. They deserved the truth. Miles was abusing his position. She practically sobbed. "They think I was complicit in fraudulent spending. They're talking about indefinite suspension while they investigate. Glenn, I'll lose everything. Did you even think about that?" A flicker of remorse tried to surface, but I pushed it down. "You made your choices, Victoria. I told you there would be consequences." Her voice cracked. "I know I messed up, but I never wanted it to go this far. Miles told me you were trying to ruin me, that you hated me. I told him that's not true. Is it?" I paused. "Hate you? I hate what you did. Maybe you'll come out of this with some dignity if you cooperate. Tell them exactly how Miles manipulated you. Don't let him pin it all on you." She sniffled. "He's spinning lies, saying I initiated all the budget shifts. The board doesn't know who to believe. Glenn, can you please just help me somehow? You can tell them I was pressured or—" I sighed. "I've done what I needed to do. Now it's in the board's hands. Don't expect me to rescue you." She broke into sobs. I ended the call, staring at the phone. The guilt swirled, but I reminded myself this was about justice. She and Miles had lied and cheated. Now the system was dealing with them. By evening, Amber texted me that Miles had a furious meltdown at the office when he realized the board had evidence from an anonymous source. He apparently ranted about that backstabbing bitch, presumably referencing either Amber or Victoria. He threatened lawsuits, claiming defamation. The board put him on paid leave pending an investigation. Paid leave well, at least it wasn't indefinite. But I suspected it wouldn't stay that way for long. Another text arrived from an unknown number. "We need to talk. Don't ignore me." My gut said it was Miles. I blocked the number. Let him squirm. That night I told Malcolm we were one step closer to our goal. He agreed. "Now brace yourself for the next phase. Usually this is where the threatened party tries to lash out with blackmail or a countersuit. But we have enough to hold our ground." I poured myself a stiff drink, mentally preparing for the next wave of chaos. Sure enough, the next wave crashed the following day. I woke up to find an email in my personal inbox from Miles. The subject line read, "Proof your wife orchestrated everything." My heart pounded as I opened it. Inside were screenshots of messages between them, some from months ago, showing Victoria praising Miles's bold ideas, mentioning she'd bend the rules if needed. Another attached photo showed them in a hotel room, half-dressed, Victoria looking somewhat enthusiastic, far from coerced. My stomach roiled. Miles included a short note. "If you proceed with your smears, I'll drop this entire folder at the board's desk. Your wife goes down alone. You think the board will blame me when they see how eager she was?" Fury blinded me for a moment. He was twisting the narrative, painting her as the primary culprit. And the truth was, from these pictures, she didn't look forced at all. She looked complicit. I clenched my fists, reading his final line. "Don't push me, or your wife becomes the sole scapegoat. Let me fade away, or I bury her." I sank into a chair, heart racing. This was the dreaded blackmail. If the board saw these, they might indeed believe Victoria was the ringleader. Miles would pose as just a subordinate following her lead. Hell, maybe that was partially true. She wasn't exactly innocent. But did I want to see her decimated? I stared at the screen. For all her betrayal, she was still the woman I once loved. Did I want her thrown to the wolves while Miles escaped? No, that would be letting him win. I had to ensure the board saw him as the prime manipulator. But how? My jaw tightened. Screw him. I'd meet with Malcolm, figure out a strategy. We wouldn't let Miles rewrite the script. If the board truly dug into the finances, they'd see Miles's repeated pattern of pressuring managers. He might hide behind these photos, but that wouldn't negate the reams of evidence Amber provided. Ultimately, if Victoria ended up partly guilty, so be it. But I refused to let Miles slip away unscathed. I typed a quick reply. You underestimate the board's intelligence. They'll see through your nonsense. Enjoy your meltdown. Then I hit send, ignoring the trembling in my hands. War was declared. No turning back. I spent the day on edge, half expecting another confrontation or some new piece of blackmail from Miles. Instead, the hours passed with a strange calm. My phone stayed quiet. Maybe he was plotting his next move. Or maybe he realized his intimidation attempt had fallen flat. Late in the afternoon, Victoria texted, "We need to talk. It's urgent. Miles might release damaging stuff about me." I let out a bitter laugh. She was panicking about her own reputation, not about how she'd wrecked our marriage. Still, curiosity tugged at me. I finally replied, "Fine. Meet at the old diner on Oak Street, 7 p.m. I drove there at dusk, parked near the flickering neon sign. The diner was half empty, smelling of coffee and fried onions. I found Victoria in a back booth, gazing anxiously out the window. Her hair was disheveled, her eyes hollow. She looked smaller than usual, like life had battered her down. I slid into the seat across from her. She fiddled with a napkin, face drawn. "Thanks for coming." I studied her. "What do you want?" Her voice shook. "Miles is threatening to leak these pictures, plus some messages that make me look like the mastermind. He texted me this morning. He says if I don't take full blame with the board, he'll ruin me publicly, my family, friends, everything. I don't know what to do." I eyed her warily. "So you want me to step in? Why would I help you after you cheated?" Tears glistened in her eyes. "I know you hate me, Glenn, but this is bigger than that. Miles is a manipulative bastard. I fell for it, and I'm paying. But he's going to spin it like I forced him to do the budgets. I'll be fired for sure, maybe face legal charges. Please, can't you testify that I was manipulated?" I felt an odd swirl of pity and anger. "And why should I? You never told me you had doubts about these budgets. You let him do it. You gave him sexual favors, let him in our bed. Now you want me to swoop in and declare your innocence?" She choked out a sob, voice lowering. "I'm begging you. I made a huge mistake. But I'm not the monster he's painting me to be. I never intended to steal company money or anything. I just bent some rules for him. He was so insistent. I was stupid, but I wasn't evil." I flexed my fingers on the table. Memories of our wedding day flickered, that beaming smile she had. Then the memory of her moans when I walked in on them. Pain rippled through my chest. "Look," I said finally, "I'm not out to get you personally. I went to the board because Miles needed to be stopped. If that drags you down too, that's on you. But yes, I do think he's the bigger manipulator, and I don't want him wriggling free. That's the extent of my concern." Her eyes shone with gratitude. "So you'll back me up if the board asks? Show them those screenshots from Amber that prove Miles was orchestrating everything?" I inhaled. "I already did. The board sees that Miles used you. But if he shows them photos where you look like you're actively colluding, that might complicate things. I can't magically rewrite your part in this." She nodded shakily. "I understand. Just do what you can, okay? I know I don't deserve your help, but I can't face this alone." I looked away, the diner's fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. "I'll do what's right for the truth, not necessarily for you. Miles won't come out squeaky clean. That's all I can promise." She exhaled a trembling breath. "Thank you. Truly." She paused. "Glenn, about us. Is there any chance?" "No," I cut in. "No chance. This is strictly about stopping Miles from rewriting reality. Once that's settled, you and I finalize the divorce. Understood?" She bowed her head. "Yes, I understand." That evening, I drove home with my thoughts in turmoil. My chest ached with the finality of telling her we were done, but I knew it was the truth. Even if I felt a shred of pity, it didn't negate her betrayal. She'd chosen lust and ambition over our marriage. That was irreversible. At the condo, I poured a stiff drink, calling Malcolm to update him. He listened, then said, "All right. So if Miles leaks that stuff, it might overshadow the documents we have from Amber. But the board is likely to see it as mutual wrongdoing. Actually, that might still blow up in Miles's face because it shows he was intimately involved, not some innocent subordinate." I nodded, swirling my whiskey. "Yeah, let him show the photos. The board can judge. If they see he's also the one pulling strings, we're fine. And if they want my testimony, I'll confirm she told me she was coerced or flattered. That's all." Malcolm snorted. "You're a kinder man than I am, buddy. But it might help. The bigger picture is that Miles is playing a high-stakes game. If the board sees a pattern of him extorting multiple women, it's game over for him. And Victoria might get fired too," I said quietly. "Likely," Malcolm replied. "But that's not your cross to bear. She's an adult. She made her bed. We just want your divorce settlement hammered out in your favor." I sighed. Yes, right. We ended the call. I stared at the city lights outside my condo window. This is the new normal, I told myself. No more illusions, no more marriage, just a pursuit of the truth and ensuring the guilty parties don't skate by. Midweek, the board escalated their investigation. Amber told me that Miles had been summoned to a formal hearing, and he marched in with a defiant smirk, apparently claiming, "I was seduced by my boss. She demanded these projects, or else she'd sabotage me." The rumor was that Victoria also faced a hearing soon. Meanwhile, the office buzzed with gossip, some employees hinting Miles was a predator, others whispering Victoria abused her power. It was a toxic swirl of rumor. I tried to remain calm, focusing on my own job tasks, but each time my phone buzzed, my stomach clenched. My nights blurred into a cycle of checking evidence, talking to Malcolm, ignoring Miles's occasional attempts at intimidation. My attitude was simple. Expose me for what? She's already confirmed you two slept together. He had no hold over me personally. The only hold he had was over Victoria's final shred of dignity. One morning, as I sat in my office, I caught myself staring at a family photo on my desk. Me and Victoria on a ski trip 2 years prior. We were smiling, arms wrapped around each other in the snow. She looked so radiant, so in love. It hurt like hell to realize that version of her no longer existed. I took the photo, placed it in a drawer, out of sight. Maybe one day, I'd toss it entirely. On Friday, Malcolm called with new developments. The board had apparently discovered additional discrepancies in the marketing budget that tied back to Miles's pet projects. They were summoning outside auditors to see how deep it ran. This spelled doom for Miles. Even if Victoria tried to claim innocence, she'd presumably share some blame for approving it. But all signs pointed to Miles forging or exaggerating numbers. That evening, as I left my office, I found Victoria waiting by my car in the underground parking lot, eyes red from crying. "Glenn, I'm suspended," she whispered. "They said pending investigation, I might lose my job. Miles told them I forced him to do it, that I threatened his position if he didn't sleep with me. This is insane. They're trying to figure out who's lying." I unlocked my car, tossed my briefcase in. "That's your problem, not mine." She let out a strangled sob. "Don't you get it? He's telling them I basically blackmailed him for sex. The board is neutral so far, but if he's got those pictures where I look eager. Glenn, I'm begging you. Testify that you confronted him and he admitted to blackmailing me. You can confirm he threatened you too. Maybe that'll sway them." I paused. Indeed, he had threatened me. That might help her case. She continued, voice cracking. "I know I messed up, but he's lying to bury me. Please don't let him twist it so I look like the predator." My chest felt tight. "I'll tell the board the truth if they ask. That's all. I won't let Miles paint you as the only villain. But you have to accept your share of blame, Victoria." She nodded frantically. "I will, I swear. I just don't want them to think I initiated all of it. Miles is the real user here." A bitter taste filled my mouth. "Fine. If they call me in, I'll say he threatened me. He tried blackmailing me. That should help clarify who's the bigger manipulator. But after that, we're done. I stressed that last phrase, searching her eyes for any sign of fight. But she just looked broken. She exhaled in relief. Thank you. I don't deserve it, but thank you. I got into my car and drove off, leaving her standing alone in the dimly lit parking lot. The image of her teary face lingered, but I pushed it aside. My loyalty to her ended the moment she betrayed our vows. Now I was only ensuring Miles didn't get to rewrite history and walk away scot-free. Sure enough, the board emailed me an invitation to a voluntary witness session. Malcolm accompanied me to their office in a sleek downtown building. We met in a conference room with the board's internal counsel, plus Valerie. They asked me to detail any threats or blackmail from Miles. I recounted the parking lot confrontation at my workplace, how Miles suggested a quiet settlement so I wouldn't blow up their affair. I explained how Miles said he'd blame Victoria for everything. I handed over Miles's email that threatened me with photos. The board members' faces hardened. This painted a picture of Miles as an aggressor, at least in part. Valerie leaned forward. Mr. Glenn, do you believe Victoria was forced into approving the budgets? I chose my words carefully. I can't say forced. She told me she was flattered, that he gave her attention she craved, but later she felt threatened or blackmailed. Honestly, it seems partly her own poor decision, partly his manipulation. They nodded, taking notes. Miss Holcomb asked, "So you do confirm that Miles threatened you personally if you exposed him?" "Yes," I said firmly. "He came to my office building, basically demanded I keep quiet or he'd spin everything to the board's disadvantage. He specifically said he'd bury Victoria if I didn't comply. I have phone messages too if you need them. He's a proven manipulator." When I left that meeting, Malcolm gave me a nod of approval. "You did good. They'll see Miles was actively threatening. Victoria might still be in trouble for consenting, but Miles is likely done." I let out a breath, shoulders sagging. The burden of retelling the story weighed on me, but a sense of grim satisfaction flickered. This was how it had to be. The board apparently interviewed Victoria too. Later, she texted me, "Thank you. You told them about Miles's threats, didn't you? They asked me to confirm. I told them the truth. I'm so grateful." I read her message without replying. That night, I sank into the condo couch, exhaustion rolling over me. The war was nearing its climax. Miles was cornered. Victoria might lose her job, but salvage a shred of dignity if the board believed she was partly manipulated. As for me, I had a divorce in the works. Once the board rendered their verdict, I'd finalize the settlement, hopefully walking away with our house, a significant portion of assets and moral vindication. I caught my reflection in the dark TV screen. Was I still the same man? I'd never been vengeful before, but love can turn to fury when betrayed. At least I wasn't physically harming anyone, just letting the truth and logic do the damage. They deserve it, I kept reminding myself. 3 days passed. Then Brighter Edge Tech announced a formal press statement. 2 employees had been placed on indefinite leave pending misconduct investigations. While they didn't name names, I knew it was Miles and Victoria. Anonymous sources inside the company told Amber that the board had discovered enough irregularities to consider termination. Miles was apparently furious, emailing threats of lawsuits for defamation. The company's legal team brushed him aside, citing the documented evidence. Victoria called me that night, voice trembling with relief and sorrow. "They're leaning toward firing Miles, Glenn. They see him as the main instigator of budget abuse. They might let me resign quietly instead of being publicly terminated. I'll lose my career, but it won't be as catastrophic as it could have been. If it helps, I plan to accept their offer. I can't show my face there anymore anyway." I closed my eyes, picturing the end of her once high-flying ambition. "So you'll be jobless." She gave a hollow laugh. "Jobless, yes, but maybe not in jail, which is something. I guess this is it, huh? The final price for my stupidity." I wanted to muster some comforting phrase, but I found none. "I guess so." Her voice cracked. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I hope one day you can remember me for something besides this betrayal." A lump formed in my throat. "We'll see. I'm sure you'll land on your feet somewhere. Good luck, Victoria." Then I gently ended the call, not trusting myself to continue. A swirl of memories and regrets battered my mind, but I forced them away. This was the path we'd chosen, no, that she'd chosen. I was just finishing the script. The next morning, headlines surfaced. Brighter Edge Tech faces internal scandal. 2 marketing employees under investigation for unethical budgeting. Industry insiders suspected names, but no official leaks. Miles's name popped up in certain rumor forums, painting him as a con artist. Good. I hoped he never found a respectable job again. At my condo, I paced around, waiting for news about Miles's official termination. Sure enough, by midday, Amber texted me. "He's gone, Glenn. They fired him. He stormed out, cursing everyone. Security escorted him out. He threatened to sue, but no one took him seriously. They also accepted Victoria's resignation. She left quietly. The office is in chaos, but at least he's out." I exhaled a long breath. It's done. My phone beeped again with a text from Reed. "Congrats, man." Miles is toast. Checking the rumor mill, he's blacklisted in local marketing circles. A small grin tugged at my lips. Perfect. I gazed out the window at the city skyline, the sun dipping low. My wife was unemployed, my marriage wrecked, Miles dethroned. The circle of betrayal was complete. Was I satisfied? Bittersweet emptiness weighed on me. I'd spent weeks consumed by this revenge. Now that it was basically accomplished, Miles humiliated, Victoria's illusions of power shattered, I felt a strange hollowness. I knew the next step: finalize the divorce. Malcolm was already drafting the papers. The day I'd sign them would be the day I officially closed this chapter of my life. No illusions of a second chance, no illusions of forgiveness. I whispered to the empty condo, "This is what it is." My voice echoed off the bare walls. Part of me felt relief that Miles wouldn't keep hurting people. Another part mourned the version of Victoria I once loved. But life moves on. I'd have to figure out a new normal. So ended my slow-motion film of betrayal and revenge. Not with a triumphant cheer, but with a quiet acceptance. The final fallout would come as we hashed out legal details. But for now, Miles was done. Victoria was broken, and I had a chance to start over wiser, a little colder, but free. I step outside onto my condo balcony, phone in hand, scanning the city lights. The events of the past few weeks swirl in my head, and I can't deny this grim sense of satisfaction. Miles is fired, Victoria is suspended, and the entire fiasco at Brighter Edge Tech is in full public meltdown mode. It's late evening, the sky a hazy navy. My eyes skim over distant headlights flickering along the freeway. My phone buzzes with a text from Malcolm. "We're in good shape. Might want to prepare for more pushback from Victoria. She's cornered." I let out a soft exhale. Being cornered is her own doing, but I know from experience that desperation can make people reckless. I have to brace myself for another wave of trouble. Leaning on the railing, I recall that unnerving calm I felt the moment I first caught them. That same chill courses through me now, reminding me that my fight isn't over. If anything, it's about to get personal. The next morning, I drive to the office earlier than usual. It feels strange returning to a normal routine when my personal life is a swirling tempest. But clients still rely on me. Deals still need closing. The best I can do is maintain a professional facade. The stiffly pressed shirt, neat tie, a forced smile in the elevator ride up to the 19th floor. Right after I settle at my desk, my phone vibrates. A call from Victoria. For a split second, I consider letting it go to voicemail, but a flicker of curiosity makes me pick up. "Glenn," she begins, voice hushed and shaky. I need to talk to you. Not about reconciling or anything like that. Just there's a problem I can't handle." The silence stretches. I can practically hear her breath trembling. Finally, I respond, "What problem? We made everything pretty clear in the board hearing." She huffs, sounding near tears. I'm completely out of a job, no severance. The board decided I was too complicit with Miles. They say if I fight it publicly, they'll release more evidence. I have no leverage, no network. Brighter Edge blacklisted me in the local marketing scene. A chill slithers down my spine. She's calling to ask for help? "Victoria, you brought this on yourself. I warned you. You want pity now?" A shaky exhale. "Not pity. But you don't understand the magnitude. My bank accounts are frozen because of legal disputes. And there's more lawsuits popping up related to Miles's harassment cases. They claim I turned a blind eye. The lawyers are calling it willful negligence. The press is all over it. I'm drowning. Her words swirl in my mind. I close my eyes, recalling the vision of her sobbing in that boardroom. Could it be this bad? Possibly. We did orchestrate a meltdown that left her high and dry. I keep my tone firm. So what exactly do you want from me? She sniffles. I don't have enough money to handle all these legal fees. The more Miles's name surfaces, the more they drag me in as co-defendant. I was hoping. Maybe you could stall some of these suits? I know you're connected with Malcolm. You have resources. I'll sign any divorce settlement you want. Just I can't keep fighting on all these fronts. A wave of conflicting emotions hits me. My first instinct is to smirk. You're reaping what you sowed. But I also recognize how thoroughly she's being crushed by Miles's fiasco, which he largely orchestrated. Tapping my pen against my desk, I say quietly, I'm not sure, Victoria. I have no desire to sabotage you further, but I'm not your savior. If you're looking for a bailout, you won't find it here. She gives a soft whimper. Okay, I understand. The line goes quiet. I can picture her biting her lip in desperation. Just, let's keep the divorce civil at least. Please. For a moment, my throat tightens. Civil? After she slept with Miles in my bed? After all that? We'll see, I say coolly, then hang up. My heart pounds. So it started. Her personal war, the freefall. Lunch break rolls around and I slip out to a nearby sandwich shop, phone in hand. The gentle bustle of office workers grabbing quick meals doesn't faze me. As I'm about to order a turkey club, Malcolm calls. I step aside, pressing the phone to my ear. Glenn, he greets. Some new developments. I've heard from a couple ex-employees apparently Miles harassed them in the past. They're banding together to file a joint lawsuit for workplace harassment. They say Victoria was aware of at least one complaint but never escalated it. That drags her into it. Are you aware? Victoria just hinted that lawsuits are stacking up. I let out a sigh. So these employees are basically painting her as complicit, right? Exactly, Malcolm replies. They claim she was so wrapped up in her fling with Miles that she overlooked or dismissed their complaints. If they prove that, it's not just a morality issue, it's legal negligence. She could be in serious trouble. A pause. Figured you'd want to know. I pinched the bridge of my nose. Thanks. I guess it's piling on. Where do we stand on the divorce angle? Malcolm's tone lightens. We're in a strong position. She's stuck between the harassment suits and the board's decision to terminate her. If you push for an aggressive settlement, you'll likely get the house, the majority of your shared funds. Hell, you might even get spousal support, ironically. I can't deny that a flicker of triumph stirs in my gut. This is what I wanted, a thorough downfall. But hearing it spelled out makes me uneasy. Am I going too far? Still, I swallow that doubt. Proceed. Let her face the consequences. If she tries to counter, we'll bury her with the evidence of Miles in the joint lawsuits. Understood? Malcolm's voice is calm. Understood, boss. Don't hesitate to call if anything changes. I hang up, stepping back to the counter to order that sandwich. My appetite is half gone, but I force myself to eat. I'll need the energy. That afternoon, my phone pings again, this time from Reed. He's found more damning details about Miles's background. A wave of satisfaction stirs. Maybe the push can go further. But as I scroll through Reed's text, it strikes me that each new revelation is like stoking a fire that could burn indefinitely. When is enough enough? I remember that moment in the hearing, Victoria's shell-shocked face. My mind replays Miles's meltdown in the hallway. They're both paying a heavy price. So is that the end of it? But something about the predicament still fuels my anger. She not only betrayed me intimately, but also risked entangling me in shady corporate nonsense. The entire city is buzzing with rumor. My own colleagues keep giving me sympathetic nods as if I'm some battered spouse. I can't stand that image. I'm not battered. I'm in control. I decide to test that control further. If Miles is truly cornered, maybe I can push him into complete public ruin. That might also force Victoria to sign the divorce settlement without a fight. Sometimes you have to crush the last bit of hope so they don't lash back. I get home to my condo, just a modest one-bedroom I rented, and find a small envelope slid under the door. My heart jumps. Could it be from Miles or Victoria? I tear it open. An unmarked note reading, "I won't let you destroy me. I'll tell them about your stock manipulations. Enjoy your illusions while you can." No signature, but I know it's from Miles. Stock manipulations? That's laughable. I did shift some investments anticipating Brighter Edge's fiasco, but I didn't do anything illegal. Regardless, the note's a threat. He wants me to think he can twist reality. He's desperate. I crumple the note, toss it in the trash. My phone buzzes. A text from Amber. "Heads up. Rumors swirling on social media that you orchestrated the meltdown to pump your own firm's stock. People are claiming you used insider info." I stare at the phone, cursing under my breath. Miles must be behind this. He's spinning a last-ditch narrative that I'm the puppet master. The irony. But I can't underestimate how rumors can spread. If I'm to remain squeaky clean in the eyes of my clients, I need to squash this fast. I call Malcolm, explaining the threats. He's calm, telling me we can disprove insider trading with clear documentation. He's bluffing, Glenn, but expect him to escalate. The meltdown is personal war now. That phrase, personal war, echoes in my head. Indeed, we've gone from a corporate fiasco to a personal vendetta. My chest tightens. So be it. If Miles wants war, I'm not backing down. 2 days later, I'm at a cafe reviewing client files when a timid figure approaches my table. I glance up. It's a short woman in her mid-20s wearing a worn blazer. She looks nervous. "Excuse me," she says, voice trembling. "Are you Glenn Waxman?" I set my coffee down. "Yes. Have we met?" She swallows. "Not officially. My name's Kristen. I used to work in the marketing department at Brighter Edge, under Miles. He harassed me, threatened me if I didn't go out with him. I saw you took him down." She glances around like she's worried someone's eavesdropping. "I wanted to say thank you." A weird wave of sympathy hits me. This is real human fallout from Miles's manipulations. "Kristen, you said he threatened you?" She nods, tears gathering. "He cornered me in the supply closet once, demanded I let him mentor me or he'd block my promotions. I tried to tell HR, but they brushed it off. Victoria was told about it, apparently, but nothing happened." She grimaces. "That's why I left the company last year. I was too terrified." My stomach clenches. "I'm sorry you went through that. You're working now?" She shrugs. "A small temp agency. It's not stable, but it's safe." Then she draws a shaky breath. I heard you were behind the info that exposed him, so thanks. People like me feel a little vindicated." I nod, not sure what to say. I didn't do it for her, I did it for me. But hearing the relief in her voice, I feel a strange pang of guilt. My revenge had a bigger ripple effect than I realized. "Listen," I say softly, "I hope you find a better opportunity. If you need references, I know some folks in finance or marketing. Let me know." Her eyes widen gratefully. "That's so kind. Thank you." She rummages in her purse, pulls out a dog-eared business card, handing it to me. "This is my number, in case you hear of anything. Sorry to bother you." She scurries off, leaving me at the table, heart heavy. My war with Miles had a side effect of liberating employees like Kristen. That's a silver lining. Still, the conversation reminds me how many lives Miles messed with and how Victoria let it happen. That evening, I'm back in the condo, phone resting on my coffee table, half watching news segments about Brighter Edge's ongoing meltdown. Scrolling social media, I see speculation. Ex-VP used corporate funds for affair. Anonymous sources confirm new harassment lawsuits. The swirl of scandal is intense. Then a local blogger claims, husband of ex-VP is fueling the chaos to gain corporate advantage. Alleged insider trading. Skeptics say he's no victim. I grit my teeth. Miles's rumor lobbing is taking hold in certain corners. Even if I can disprove it, the mere mention tarnishes my name. My phone lights up with a call from a client who's spooked by the rumor. I spend half an hour reassuring them that my finances are above board. Hanging up, I let out a growl of frustration. Enough is enough. Maybe it's time to add a defamation suit against Miles, an official legal move to shut him down. I text Malcolm. "He's defaming me. Let's go nuclear." Malcolm's reply is immediate. "On it. We can file next week." Perfect. The next day, I walk into the corridor of the county courthouse, my footsteps echoing off marble floors. It's the opening hearing of our divorce proceedings. My chest tightens, seeing Victoria sitting alone on a bench, looking pale. She glances up, eyes flicking with a mix of desperation and resignation. I don't approach her. Instead, I take a seat on the opposite side, scanning through documents Malcolm gave me, evidence of her affair, financial misappropriations, and moral grounds for dissolution. My hands steady. I'm here to finalize the severance of our marriage and push for maximum advantage. No mercy. The clerk calls us in. We step into a small hearing room, a judge presiding. Malcolm stands by me. Victoria stands alone. She either couldn't afford a lawyer or they've abandoned her. My heart pinches at that image. Focus, Glenn. She chose her path. The judge is a woman in her 50s, with stern eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. She reviews the documents, then looks at Victoria. Mrs. Waxman, you're currently unemployed, correct? Victoria nods, voice trembling. Yes, Your Honor. I was suspended and then terminated. I'm in transition. The judge skims the papers. You have pending lawsuits for alleged negligence and harassment complaints, plus potential fraud claims from the company? A flush creeps up Victoria's cheeks. Yes, ma'am. The judge sighs. And Mr. Waxman, you are seeking an expedited divorce on grounds of adultery and emotional distress, correct? You want exclusive rights to the marital home and the majority of financial assets. That's quite a demand. I square my shoulders. Yes, Your Honor. There is ample evidence of her adultery with a subordinate, plus financial misconduct that compromised our shared accounts. I'm also dealing with reputational harm from the scandal. I believe these terms are fair. Victoria's face crumples, but she doesn't interrupt. The judge nods gravely, then gestures for Malcolm to present our side. He methodically lays out the timeline, the receipts, the hotel bills, text messages. It's thorough and merciless. Victoria stares at the floor. When he's done, the judge asks Victoria if she disputes any of it. She hesitates, voice tight. No, I don't dispute the affair, but I was manipulated. My financial misconduct was not premeditated. I only ask for some measure of leniency. I have no income. If I lose everything, I can't even keep a roof over my head. Malcolm counters swiftly. That's not our concern, Your Honor. She violated the marital contract and used joint funds to facilitate her affair. Glenn shouldn't bear the cost. Victoria's eyes well with tears, but the judge remains impartial. We'll set an official date for finalizing the property division, she says. For now, Mr. Waxman, you have temporary exclusive rights to the home. Mrs. Waxman, you are restricted from accessing joint accounts until we finalize distribution. This is in line with the evidence of potential fraud. Any questions? I shake my head. Victoria tries to speak, but the judge dismisses her with a polite but firm wave. We'll reconvene in a few weeks. Court is adjourned. We step out into the hallway. She turns to me, face streaked with tears. Glenn, please. I know you despise me, but this is too harsh. I'll be homeless. I can't fight every lawsuit alone. I'm sorry, God, I'm so sorry. Her despair tugs at a faint chord of pity, but my anger still overshadows it. You should have thought about that before crawling into bed with Miles. Then I stride away, leaving her sobbing near the courthouse pillars. Outside, Malcolm is all business. You handled that well, he tells me. She's effectively pinned down now. Another hearing or two we finalize. You'll get the house, a chunk of the savings. The judge might require you to give her a small settlement, but nothing major. I nod stiffly, leaning against my car. I suppose that's the best possible outcome. Yet why do I feel so hollow, I wonder? Because no matter how thoroughly I win, I can't unsee her betrayal. Malcolm checks his watch. On the defamation angle against Miles, I've already drafted a complaint. We can serve him by next week. The meltdown intensifies. He gives me a half smile, waiting for my approval. I think of the threatened rumors about my so-called insider trading. Yes, we need to shut him down. Go for it, I say quietly. He nods, stepping away to take a phone call. I stand there under the midday sun, letting the warmth wash over me. Is the war almost over, or is it just entering a new phase? That question weighs on me, but I know one thing. I won't stop until Miles is either begging for mercy or behind bars, and if Victoria is collateral damage, so be it. I head home with a swirl of thoughts. Once inside, I toss my jacket on the sofa and sink down, feeling an odd mix of triumph and sadness. The house, no. The condo feels eerily quiet. I used to share space with her. Even if she worked late, I'd sense her presence. Now, emptiness. My phone pings, an email from Valerie at Brighter Edge. The subject line. We have one more move to make. I open it, heart pounding. She writes that new information has surfaced about Miles's deeper involvement with forging data, raising the possibility of criminal charges. We may need your testimony again, Glenn. She's basically calling me in for a final strike. It's exactly what I wanted, but it also means more drama. I stare at the email, whispering to the empty room, "Here we go." A sense of foreboding twists in my gut. So this is how you intensify a personal war, huh? Slowly, methodically, I type a reply. "Valerie, I'm available. Let's finish this once and for all." Then I close the laptop, eyes drifting over the quiet living space. Outside, the evening sky dims, a faint rumble of thunder in the distance. Yes, the storm is coming. The next morning, I pace my condo's small living room, phone pressed to my ear. Valerie's voice crackles through the line. "Glenn, I appreciate your willingness to help. Our final session at Brighter Edge will address potential criminal referrals for Miles, plus a final decision on Victoria's termination. I won't sugarcoat it, it's going to be brutal for her." A strange pang hits my chest. I think of how hard Victoria fought to climb that corporate ladder. She's already suspended. This will end any chance of her returning, right? Valerie sighs. Yes, we see no path for her. She compromised the company's ethics, allowed Miles's behavior, and misused funds. As a courtesy, the board might let her resign quietly instead of a public firing. But that's it. Meanwhile, Miles is facing a bigger hammer. The board is giving the evidence to law enforcement. We suspect he falsified official records. A pulse of grim satisfaction courses through me. So this is the final blow from Brighter Edge. "What do you need from me?" She hesitates. "Just your testimony on how Miles threatened to spin everything. Also, we might reference your statements about the blackmail attempts. It solidifies the case for handing it over to the DA. This will happen tomorrow at 2 p.m. in the main boardroom." I confirm my availability. After the call, I slump onto the couch, letting out a long breath. So in 24 hours, we sever the last ties. A swirl of conflicting emotions flickers in me. This is what I wanted, right? That afternoon, I head to a downtown law office to sign a few updated documents with Malcolm. We finalize the subpoena that's about to be served on Miles for defamation. Malcolm smirks. He's about to get hammered from all angles. Corporate charges, harassment suits, your defamation claim. He might flee the city. I shrug. Good. Let him flee. Or rot. I don't care. My words come out cold, but it's exactly how I feel. Malcolm flips through the pages. "And regarding Victoria, you're certain you want to see her fully fired and blacklisted? The board might accept a letter of resignation. She'll lose everything either way. But one route is slightly kinder." Kinder, I echo, bitterness creeping in. She wasn't kinder when she let Miles into my home or when she risked our finances to impress him. Let her face the music, Malcolm. He holds up his hands in a placating gesture. "All right, boss. Just making sure you're aware. She's going to be thoroughly exiled from that corporate sphere." "That's her cross to bear," I say, though a faint knot tightens in my gut. No turning back now. Night falls. I'm restless, so I go for a walk through the quiet streets near my condo, passing by dimly lit storefronts and a closed coffee shop. My mind replays the day I discovered everything, my methodical notes on that yellow pad. Back then, it was all about harnessing my anger into a plan. Now the plan is almost fully executed. My enemies are toppling. But is this really how I imagined victory would feel? The distant hum of traffic and the faint flicker of a street lamp accompany me as I walk. My phone chirps, a text from an unknown number. "You think you've won, but watch your back." Miles again, no doubt. I exhale slowly, replying with a single word. "Bring it." Then I block the number. If he's that desperate, he can come at me in court. Let's see how far he gets. Morning arrives. I dress in a charcoal suit, crisp white shirt, adjusting my tie with the quiet determination of a man stepping onto a battlefield. The board hearing at Brighter Edge is at 2 p.m., but I have a few client calls to handle first. By noon, I'm in my car, driving across town, ignoring the anxious flutter in my chest. This is the final confrontation. As I enter the Brighter Edge lobby, I'm hit by a rush of memories. This place used to feel so imposing. Now it's tarnished ground. The receptionist greets me politely, instructing me to head to the top-floor boardroom. My footsteps echo on polished floors. A hush pervades, as though everyone's on edge, waiting for the final shoe to drop. The boardroom is spacious, with floor-to-ceiling windows showing a panoramic view of the city. Valerie stands near the large oval table, conferring with two other board members. Miles sits at the far end, arms folded, scowling. Victoria is off to the side, shoulders hunched, eyes downcast. A scattering of other executives and legal counsel occupy seats around the table. Valerie spots me and gestures for me to join her. I pass by Miles, who mutters under his breath, "You bastard." I ignore him. Victoria barely meets my eyes. Valerie opens the session with a crisp tone. "We're here to address the final disciplinary measures for Miles Eckhart and Victoria Patterson." She uses Victoria's maiden name, interestingly, probably an HR formality. "Regarding misconduct, potential fraud, and harassment." She glances at me. "Mr. Waxman has offered crucial testimony. Let's begin." One of the board members lays out the findings. Miles falsified marketing data, manipulated budgets, and threatened employees. The HR rep confirms multiple harassment claims. Another rep from the legal department states that they plan to turn over everything to the DA for possible criminal charges of forging internal documents. I watch Miles's face tighten, his jaw clenching. Then they address Victoria. "You, Miss Patterson, engaged in an inappropriate relationship with a subordinate, approved questionable budget lines, and failed to report multiple harassment complaints. Under normal circumstances, we'd fire you for cause. However, we're prepared to accept a letter of resignation, effective immediately, if you prefer to avoid the label of fired for cause. But you will receive no severance." She looks stricken, nodding numbly. I'll resign." The tension in the room is palpable. Miles slams his fist on the table. "This is bullshit. She orchestrated half this stuff. I was just following orders. She threatened to demote me if I didn't do her bidding." He's practically spitting with anger. Valerie turns to me, voice even. "Mr. Waxman, you've claimed Miles threatened to spin false narratives about insider trading or other angles if you exposed him. Could you share details?" I stand, meeting Miles's glare with steady composure. "Yes, Miles approached me at my workplace, demanded a quiet settlement. When I refused, he threatened to smear me publicly, which he attempted by leaking rumors about insider stock moves. I have the texts, plus a note he slipped under my condo door. He's tried every angle to blame others for his wrongdoing." Miles jumps up, face red. "You're the liar! You used your wife's position to manipulate deals." Valerie cuts him off sharply. "Enough, Mr. Eckhart. We've seen the proof. Your allegations lack evidence. We have your messages threatening Glenn. Sit down." Security guards by the door shift, ready to intervene. Miles's posture deflates. He sinks back into his chair, fists trembling. They turn to Victoria. "Miss Patterson, do you dispute any of Mr. Waxman's statements?" She lifts her gaze, eyes glistening. "No. Miles did threaten him and me. I wasn't forced to comply, but I was flattered at first, then blackmailed. It's complicated." She sighs, shoulders slumping. "I accept responsibility for my part." A heavy silence envelops the room. The corporate counsel folds her notes. "Very well. The board finds cause to terminate Mr. Eckhart effective immediately. We will forward evidence for possible criminal charges. Miss Patterson, your resignation is accepted, also effective immediately. We request you remove any personal items from the premises under supervision." Valerie concludes the session with a cool finality. That ends our hearing. I exhale softly. My gaze drifts to Miles. He's pale, sweat beading on his brow. I see pure hatred in his eyes. We've pinned him down. Meanwhile, Victoria stands, shoulders drooping, whispering a shaky goodbye to no one in particular. She looks at me fleetingly, tears brimming, then walks out escorted by security. That's it for her. As the meeting disperses, I linger, collecting my papers. Miles storms over to me, voice low and venomous. "You destroyed my life, you smug piece of shit." I stare back, unwavering. "You destroyed it the moment you decided to blackmail my wife and harass employees. I just helped expose you." He bares his teeth in a snarl. "I'll come after you, one way or another," Valerie interjects, stepping in. "We have security on standby, Mr. Eckhart." I suggest you leave before this escalates. He glances around, realizing he's outnumbered. With a final glare, he stomps off. The tension in the room lingers like a stale odor. Valerie exhales, turning to me with a tight smile. Thank you, Glenn. Let me walk you out. We ride the elevator down. I'm silent, replaying the meltdown. Valerie glances at me. I know this is personal for you, but you did the right thing. Miles was a toxin in our company. And Miss Patterson. Well, she had to face consequences. I nod, not trusting myself to speak. Something about the finality of it all churns in my gut like I achieved my grand revenge. But at what cost? Valerie stops by the lobby entrance. Take care, Glenn. If you ever want to do consulting for Brighter Edge in the future, we're open to it. In any case, you can rest assured Miles is finished here. I muster a polite nod, stepping outside. The afternoon sun hits my face. I stand on the sidewalk, letting the moment sink in. My phone buzzes. An email from Malcolm with the official notice that Miles has been served the defamation complaint. Another piece falling into place. So this is the final corporate decision. Miles is effectively blacklisted. Victoria is out on the street, left to gather whatever scraps remain of her professional life. The city hums around me, people walking, cars honking, all oblivious to the fact that inside, I'm wrestling with a swirl of triumph and emptiness. I text Malcolm. It's done. He's out for good. On to the next. Then I slip my phone away, heading to the parking garage. Back at my condo, I flop onto the couch, mind reeling. I see images of Victoria, eyes brimming with tears, handing over her corporate badge. I see Miles's fury. But overshadowing those mental snapshots is a quiet, grim acceptance. I orchestrated this. They forced me, but I took it to the finish line. Late evening, I rummaged through the kitchen for a leftover meal, phone again lighting up with a text from an unknown number. Expecting another Miles threat, I open it with annoyance only to find it's from Victoria's sister, Angela. She writes, Glenn, I don't know all details, but Victoria is devastated. She says she's effectively homeless. Do you have to be so harsh? I scoff, typing a curt reply. This is between me and Victoria. She made her choices. Then I block her number. My chest is tight. Why do they always guilt-trip me? She should have thought about that before betraying me. Before bed, I step onto the balcony, staring at the city's glowing skyline. A quiet hush envelops the night. My mind wanders to the day I first locked myself in my office, drafting an outline of revenge. I recall the initial wave of heartbreak fueling each bullet point. Now I've completed the big corporate hits. Miles is fired, facing possible prison time if things escalate, and Victoria is terminated. But there's still the personal side, the divorce, the lawsuits swirling around them, and the daily humiliations Victoria must face with no job or safety net. Is that not more than enough? Malcolm said one more hearing in the divorce, and it's final. Maybe then I can breathe. The wind ruffles my hair as I lean on the railing, eyes half closed. I can sense I'm at a turning point. My vow is to see the divorce through to a crushing settlement. Then maybe I can let go, or maybe I'll carry this bitterness forever. I'm not sure yet. I whisper to the darkness, one step at a time, then head inside, lights off. Dawn breaks through the condo blinds and I'm up early, sipping black coffee and skimming headlines. Brighter Edge Tech's official press release is all over social media. Final decisions made on internal misconduct. Former employees terminated. They don't name Miles or Victoria explicitly, but the comments section is ablaze with speculation. People tag them by name anyway. Scrolling, I see a barrage of Miles Eckhart got what he deserved, and Victoria Patterson also complicit. Some express pity for her, calling her a scapegoat. Others brand her a manipulative cheat. I can't decide which side is closer to the truth. A pang hits me when I see a comment referencing me as the betrayed husband who exposed them. The user calls me either a cunning genius or an opportunist. I exhale sharply. I didn't ask for public discussion of my personal life, but it's out there. Mid-morning, a longtime friend, Alicia, stops by the office, eyes full of concern. She's known me and Victoria for years, one of the few who didn't automatically choose sides. After exchanging pleasantries, she slides into the chair across from my desk, voice soft. Glenn, I've been hearing about everything. Are you okay? This is a lot. I clasp my hands. I'm fine, Alicia. It's definitely a whirlwind, but I'm handling it. She nods, pressing her lips together. You look different, harder maybe. Just promise me you won't let hatred consume you. A flicker of annoyance stirs. Hatred? I'm not hateful, I'm determined. I appreciate your concern, but I'm past the heartbreak stage. I'm simply ensuring justice. Miles was toxic and Victoria let him. Alicia sighs. I get that. But I also hear she's losing everything, her job, her finances, even her friends. Some folks say you're fueling that downfall. I shrug. And? She hesitates, eyes compassionate. And you were married for years. Don't lose your own humanity in punishing her. That's all. I stare at the half-empty coffee mug. What does humanity even mean in this context? She betrayed me in a fundamental way. Alicia, I say quietly, I gave her everything. She threw it away. Now she's facing the consequences. She nods, stands to leave. All right, Glenn. I just hope you find peace. As she walks out, a pang of frustration hits me. People keep telling me to lighten up, show mercy. But would they say the same if they caught their spouse sleeping with a manipulative coworker, risking all they'd built together? Doubtful. That afternoon, Malcolm calls with an update. Miles is on the run, so to speak. He missed a scheduled deposition for the defamation case. Malcolm's investigators tracked him to an extended-stay motel outside the city. We can get a process server out there soon. He's likely broke, Malcolm says, but we'll press forward. I grin darkly. Miles is cornered like a rat. The part of me that was once a mild, easygoing guy now relishes the mental image of him trembling in some dingy motel, rummaging for spare change. Good. Let him stew. Simultaneously, Malcolm mentions a new partnership opportunity for me. Reed and Amber have an idea for a startup. They asked if you'd invest or advise. A flicker of intrigue stirs. Really? They didn't mention it to me. Amber said she was waiting for the dust to settle before approaching you, but they see your strategic mind as valuable, Malcolm explains. A slow smile forms. Maybe a new direction is exactly what I need once the divorce is finalized. All right, set up a meeting. I could use a fresh challenge. That evening, I drive home with a sense of cautious optimism about the future. The battles with Miles and Victoria are winding down. Soon, the final divorce hearing will set me free. Maybe investing in a startup with Reed and Amber can be my next chapter. When I get to the condo, I notice a letter sticking out of my mailbox. I retrieve it, flipping it over. The return address is from Allison. Confusion hits me, Allison the neighbor, or the coworker friend of Victoria. I open it inside, discovering it's from that coworker named Allison Miller, not the teenage neighbor. She writes that she's aware of a group of ex-employees filing a lawsuit against Miles, and possibly Victoria, for ignoring harassment. She wants to confirm my stance. I recall glimpsing her name in the swirl of suits, another piece of the puzzle. She's basically wanting me to support their claims that Miles was a serial harasser, with Victoria turning a blind eye. So many suits, so much chaos. I set the letter aside, feeling drained. Yes, Miles deserves it, and maybe Victoria does too. But I'm fatigued from the constant adrenaline of revenge. I slump onto the couch, flick on the TV. A local news reporter mentions the once-arising executive couple, now embroiled in scandal. My stomach knots. We were never an executive couple. I was just her supportive spouse. The talking head prattles on about how Victoria's meltdown is a cautionary tale. My name is left out, thankfully. The segment ends with a tease about pending legal fallout. I flick the TV off, frustration boiling. It's endless. A few nights later, I'm reading over the final draft of my divorce settlement. Malcolm arranged a meeting with the judge next week for official approval. If all goes according to plan, I'll walk away with the house, a large chunk of our joint savings, and minimal to no obligation to pay spousal support. I swirl a glass of whiskey, rechecking each clause. Yes, it's thorough. Mid-sip, my phone rings. An unknown number. My gut clenches Miles again. Or maybe Victoria from a new line. I answer warily. Hello? A female voice hesitates, then says, Glenn, it's me, Victoria. I clamp my jaw. You keep changing numbers. She exhales shakily. I had to get a cheap prepaid phone. My finances are a mess. Listen, I know I have no right to ask, but can we please talk, face to face? My pulse spikes. Talk? What's left to say? But something in her voice tugs at me like she's nearing total collapse. Why? She sniffles. I want some closure. I need to apologize in person. And there's a final detail about the house I'd like to resolve so we don't have a fight in court. Just 15 minutes, please. I close my eyes. I do want a smooth final hearing, and if this helps finalize matters, maybe it's worth it. All right, I murmur. Tomorrow noon at the coffee shop on Elm. She thanks me in a choked whisper. Then the line goes dead. I stare at my phone, a swirl of dread and annoyance swirling. One last conversation. The next day at noon, I enter the coffee shop, an unassuming place with rustic wooden tables and the scent of espresso in the air. Victoria is already there, sitting at a corner table, hands cupped around a mug. She looks thinner than ever, hair unstyled, eyes rimmed with fatigue. I slide into the seat across from her, keeping a stoic posture. You wanted 15 minutes. Go ahead. Her gaze flicks up, brimming with remorse. Thank you for coming. First off, I want to say again how deeply sorry I am. I know you have zero reason to forgive me, but I can't move on without at least telling you that what I did was the worst mistake of my life. I listen in silence. Heard it all before. She swallows. Next about the house. I left a few personal items in the attic, old diaries, family photos. I'd like them, if possible, before you change the locks or sell the place. I figure we can do that quietly, no drama. My shoulders relax a fraction. That's all? Fine, I can have them boxed up. She nods. Thank you. And finally, her voice trembles. I know we're in a war, basically, but I'd ask you to consider dropping any claim for spousal damages. I can't pay. I'm basically living on a friend's couch. If the court forces me to pay you, I'll never crawl out of debt. I arch a brow. That's your problem, not mine. You do realize I have the right to it after everything you cost me. She bows her head. Yes, I know. I'm just asking for mercy. Her eyes shimmer with tears. Glenn, I'll sign anything else you want. I'm not fighting for the house or the joint savings. I'll walk away with nothing. Just please don't force me into a debt I can't repay. Anger pulses in me, remembering the humiliation, the heartbreak, the risk to my finances. Yet I see she's thoroughly broken. My mind drifts to Alicia's words. Don't lose your humanity. I clench my jaw. She deserves punishment, but do I want to bury her beyond all measure? I speak slowly. I'll think about it. That's all I can promise. Her breath hitches, a tear rolling down her cheek. Thank you. Silence settles. She sips her coffee. I watch the steam swirl. There's a swirl of memories from simpler times, but I push them down. Then she sets the mug aside, voice trembling. Glenn, can I ask you one thing? Do you ever think we could have been saved if I'd come clean sooner? Refused to help Miles? Confessed everything? I close my eyes. That hypothetical weighs on me. Victoria, once you cross that line, I don't see how we'd fix it. Maybe if you'd never let him in our bed? If you'd never used our money for him? But that's not how it happened. She nods, tears brimming. I get it. I loved you. In my own messed up way. I was insecure, chasing success, letting Miles feed my ego. Then it spiraled. An ache ripples through me. Why am I letting her confessions get to me now, when we're so close to final closure? I stand, wanting to flee. Time's up. Good luck, Victoria. She sniffles, words catching in her throat. Yeah, you too, Glenn. And I'm truly sorry. I walk out without a backward glance, each step heavy with a mix of triumph and regret. That night, I struggled to sleep. The memory of her tearful face in the coffee shop gnaws at me. I remind myself of Miles's vile presence, the humiliations. She made me a cuckold in my own home. But the human side of me sees how thoroughly broken she is. Tossing and turning, I recall the moment we said, I do. How sincere we were back then. Could it have been saved? Probably not. My phone pings. I check the screen. A message from Malcolm. Court date set next week. Expect final divorce decree. Also, update. Miles missed another hearing. Warrant might be issued soon. A warrant. So Miles is about to face real legal consequences. A wave of relief mingled with gloom. He'll get what's coming. As for Victoria, maybe I can lighten one or two conditions so she isn't forced into endless debt. That small mercy might keep my conscience clearer. Finally, I drift to sleep, mind whirling with the possibility that the war is nearing its end and maybe, just maybe, I don't need to be as ruthless as I planned. I wake to a text from Amber. Reed and I are serious about launching the startup. We want you on board, Glenn. Let's meet for coffee tomorrow. A spark of excitement ignites. A fresh start, away from this swirling drama. My soul craves something productive, something that doesn't revolve around betrayal. I text back eagerly, absolutely, let's do it. Then I notice a missed call from Victoria. I let it be. She got her final conversation. I have a life to rebuild. Stepping into the bathroom, I meet my own reflection eyes tired, lines of stress etched in my brow. But there's also a flicker of confidence. I survived the storm. Now I can shape a new path. By evening, I'm tidying the condo, flipping through some old pictures stuffed in a drawer photos of me and Victoria on a ski trip, looking happy and unstoppable. My stomach tightens. It's not that I don't remember the good times, but they're buried under her betrayal. A knock at the door startles me. I open it to find a courier delivering official court documents. He hands me a thick envelope. "Mr. Waxman, these are from the county court." I sign, shut the door, and tear it open. Inside, I find a notice. The final hearing date for the divorce is set in a few days. We'll finalize all property divisions, concluding our marriage legally. A wave of relief hits me. This is the last official step. If it goes as planned, I'll walk away with the house, minimal obligations, and my pride intact. Yet a hollow ache stirs. When the judge stamps that decree, my old life ends for good. I drop the papers on the counter. So be it. The phone rings Malcolm, no doubt, with more details. I steady myself, preparing to answer. The aftermath is here, and I'm ready. I arrive at a cozy downtown cafe to meet Amber and Reed, the future potential business partners. The place is bustling with morning chatter, baristas calling out latte orders. My heart feels lighter. This meeting is about building something new, untainted by drama. Spotting them at a corner table, I weave through customers. Amber rises to greet me, offering a quick hug. "Glenn, good to see you." Reed gives me a firm handshake, eyes bright with that familiar spark of innovation. We settle into chairs. Steam rises from 3 mugs of coffee. Amber folds her arms on the table. "So, you know we're serious about launching a small consulting tech hybrid. We want your strategic mind on board. No overshadowing drama, we promise." She flashes a playful grin. Reed chimes in, "You'd be an equal partner if you invest some capital and bring your financial know-how. We pitch to mid-level corporations, streamlining their marketing budgets without the fiasco we witnessed at Brighter Edge." I chuckle darkly. We sure do have an inside look at how quickly a fiasco can grow. My expression softens. But that experience might be exactly what we need to help others avoid it. They nod, excitement dancing in their eyes. It's contagious. For a moment, I forget the swirl of lawsuits and heartbreak. We talk logistics, market strategies, potential clients. The conversation flows easily, our synergy palpable. An hour passes in a blur. By the time we stand to leave, I've agreed in principle to join them. "Let me finalize some personal matters," I say, referencing the divorce hearing. "Then we can sign initial partnership documents. Sound good?" Amber smiles widely. "Absolutely. We'll get the paperwork ready. So excited to have you, Glenn." Reed pats my shoulder. "This is bigger than you think. We believe in your resilience. After all the crap you've dealt with, you're still standing. Let's channel that energy into success." A warm satisfaction blooms in my chest. Yes, something positive at last. As we part ways, I notice a missed call from Malcolm. Probably routine. I decide to call him back once I'm in the car. Outside, the day is bright, sun peeking through clouds. For the first time in a while, I feel the stirrings of hope that there's more to my life than revenge. Sure enough, Malcolm's call is about the upcoming final divorce hearing. Victoria's lawyer, she apparently found a low-cost attorney last minute, reached out, asking if you'd consider dropping any spousal damages in exchange for her not contesting the rest. She seems desperate. I recall her plea for mercy. Perhaps now's the time to finalize that. "I'll do it," I say after a moment. "No spousal damages. Let her off that hook as long as she surrenders any claim to the house or joint savings. I want it in writing." Malcolm hums approvingly. That's quite generous, but it also helps us. A straightforward hearing means less time in court, less chance of her flinging random allegations. Good call, Glenn. I nod, half smiling. It's a small mercy, but maybe it's me reclaiming a shred of humanity Alicia warned me about. Yes, have it drafted. I just want this over. That evening, I get home and check my mailbox. There's a small package with no return address. My heart lurches. Another threat from Miles? Inside, I find a cheap wooden box. Carefully opening it, I discover photos, grainy phone snapshots of me, presumably from weeks or months ago, plus a typed note. Glenn, you can't hide, I see you. I slam the box shut, heart pounding. Miles is stalking me? Or one of his lackeys? Furious, I immediately call the detective assigned to a small protective detail after Miles's earlier threat. She says, "Bring the evidence to the station. We'll add it to our file. He's in deeper trouble if he's harassing you." So I do. I spend an hour at the station filing the complaint. The detective shakes her head, muttering, "He's a piece of work." I drive home, adrenaline spiking. He's trying to rattle me. Let him try. His meltdown is inevitable. Days slip by in a tense blur. I continue prepping with Malcolm for the final hearing, coordinating business ideas with Amber and Reed, and forwarding any new Miles-related threats to the detective. Despite the swirling chaos, I sense a quiet shift in myself, less obsession with daily revenge, more readiness to close the chapter. Finally, the morning of the final divorce hearing arrives. I dress in a navy suit, straightening my tie in the mirror. My reflection stares back, exuding a calm, collected aura. This is the day I officially cut ties with my old life. I drive to the courthouse, each mile feeling heavier with significance. Inside the courtroom, the air is thick with anticipation. Victoria stands with a young attorney at her side. She's in a plain black dress, hair pinned back, face drawn but determined. Malcolm is by me, flipping through documents. The judge presiding is the same woman from our initial hearing, her expression stoic. Malcolm states our new arrangement. My client, Mr. Waxman, agrees to waive spousal damages. In return, Mrs. Patterson, using her maiden name again, surrenders any claim on the marital home or joint accounts. They'll each keep personal items. The rest is Mr. Waxman's. Victoria's attorney nods. We find this acceptable. The judge glances at both of us. So, you've come to a settlement that resolves property division. Are you both consenting to the divorce with no further claims? I speak up, voice steady. Yes, Your Honor. We agree. Victoria's gaze flickers to me, a ghost of gratitude passing over her features. She murmurs, Yes, Your Honor. The judge reviews the paperwork one last time. Then, with a firm nod, she says, In that case, I grant the final decree of divorce. Mr. Waxman retains the house, assets. Miss Patterson is relieved of spousal damages. The marriage is legally dissolved as of today's date. I wish you both the best moving forward. She gavels lightly. Court adjourned. A quiet hush falls. That's it. Done. My breath shudders as I realize all official ties with Victoria are severed. Outside in the hallway, Malcolm pats my shoulder. Congratulations, Glenn, you're free. The words echo in my head. Free. Victoria steps over, her lawyer trailing behind. She offers me a thin, sad smile. Thank you for not forcing the spousal damages. I appreciate it. I'll have my friend pick up the attic boxes, then you won't see me again. My chest constricts. I give a curt nod. All right. Good luck, Victoria. Her eyes fill with tears, but she fights them back. Goodbye, Glenn. Then she turns and walks away, shoes tapping softly on the polished floor, out the courthouse doors. I watch her go, a storm of emotions swirling, relief, sorrow, finality. Then I exhale, pushing it aside. This is what I wanted. The last string is cut. Malcolm smiles. Drinks to celebrate? Later, I say, voice subdued. I need a moment alone. He nods with understanding, walks off. I linger in the corridor, heart pounding. I'm free indeed. That afternoon, I drive to the old house, my house now. For months, I stayed in the condo, but the final order says it's fully mine. Stepping inside, I'm greeted by stale air and dust motes swirling. The place is exactly as I left it, a faint echo of memories in every corner. I wander through the living room, recalling nights spent waiting for Victoria to come home from late meetings. The kitchen, where I cooked while she typed away on her laptop. The master bedroom, site of the ultimate betrayal. The bed is gone. I tossed it months ago, but the walls feel haunted. I climb to the attic, rummaging for the box of diaries and photos. A wave of nostalgia hits me, pictures from her childhood, letters from her sister. She wants these. I box them carefully. As I descend, a faint swirl of sadness seeps in. We could have had a life, I murmur to the empty rooms, my voice echoing. Then I shake my head. That life ended the minute she let Miles in. I step outside, setting the box in my trunk, planning to have her friend pick it up tomorrow. At the curb, I pause, looking back at the house. Do I really want to live here after all that happened? Or maybe I'll sell it and invest in something new. My phone vibrates. A text from Reed. How'd it go? The subtext is about the divorce. I reply with a short, "Divorce finalized. I'll explain later." Then I lean on the car's hood, letting the mild breeze brush my face. This is it. The ties are cut. The war is effectively over. Miles is facing legal hell. Victoria is out of my life. Do I feel triumphant? Perhaps. But also a hollow ache reminiscent of losing something I once cherished. That's the price of betrayal. Late at night, I settle in my condo, packing some of my own items. The startup plan with Amber and Reed tugs at my mind, my chance at a fresh horizon. I see an unopened bottle of whiskey on the counter, a celebratory gift from a coworker. I pop it open, pour a glass. Staring at the dark liquid, I toast softly to no one. To new beginnings. I sip, the burn trailing down my throat. Outside, the city glimmers with endless possibilities. My phone is quiet, no more frantic calls from Victoria, no threats from Miles. The hush is almost eerie, but maybe that hush is freedom. I exhale, letting my shoulders relax. I murmur to the darkness. What now? I guess that's up to me. The faintest hint of a smile curves my lips as I tip the glass back. Part of me wonders if life can truly start anew, less bitterness, more purpose. And I decide, yes, it can. I'll keep forging ahead, letting go of old ghosts. The next chapter awaits. I settle into my chair at Brighter Edge's newly refurbished boardroom, fingers drumming anxiously on the polished table. It's late afternoon, sunlight streaking across the tinted windows. Hard to believe I'm back in this building after everything that happened. Valerie, the board member who once helped me take down Miles, sits across from me, reviewing documents with a pinched expression. An odd hush blankets the place, even though phones ring faintly beyond the closed door. I sense a ripple of tension in the corridors, employees tiptoeing around. A new crisis, Valerie told me in a cryptic phone call, something about skeletons from Miles's era rattling louder than expected. She's calling me in for damage control, says I'm the only one who knows the inside story from the meltdown. I glance at my reflection in the window, seeing a calmer man than the vengeful figure who walked these halls months ago. My chest feels tight with old memories. This was the place that nearly destroyed my marriage, or maybe the place where I found out it was already destroyed. Part of me wants to laugh that I'm back here in a consultant capacity. Another part wants to run. Valerie finally looks up, eyes clouded. Glenn, I appreciate your coming. We need your insight more than ever. I inhale slowly. Let's get to it. You mentioned a crisis. How bad is it? She grimaces, tapping her pen against the folder. Potentially very bad. I'll fill you in with details, but suffice to say, it's related to old deals Miles brokered before we fired him. He falsified even more data than we realized, apparently including some financial statements for major clients. Now those clients are threatening to pull out entirely if we don't restore trust. They're spooked. This could gut our revenue by a significant margin. Her words echo in the silent boardroom. Why am I not surprised? Miles's crooked trail. All right, I say. What do you need from me? She exhales. Your expertise in crisis management. I saw how you handled exposing Miles, how you methodically orchestrated. Well, let's call it your personal revenge. We need that same strategic mind to salvage these client relationships and quell the PR fiasco. I shift in my seat, half smiling wryly. Are you sure you want the man who helped sink your previous staff? She smirks. You sank Miles and Victoria, sure, but you also showed you care about ethical standards. That's what we need now. I nod, glancing at the folder in front of me. Then let's get to work. Over the next hour, Valerie and I dissect the client files. She pushes a thick binder toward me. These are partial audits. The problem is, certain product lines Miles sold them on never existed in the capacity he promised. Some were half-baked prototypes, others were pure fiction. He convinced them with bogus data that we had advanced solutions. My stomach churns reading the summary. Miles was more brazen than I thought. So they might sue for misrepresentation? She meets my gaze. Yes, if we don't act swiftly to assure them, we'll rectify everything. Some of these clients are multi-million-dollar accounts. We can't lose them. I chew the inside of my lip. All right, so we handle it like any corporate fiasco. We come clean, reorganize, prove we have a valid fix. Transparent compliance, new auditing measures, and direct communication from top leadership. No half-truths or spin. Valerie gives a tight nod. Exactly, but we also have a PR angle to consider. The press already sees Brighter Edge as a shady place post-Miles and Victoria. I flip a page, thinking. We hold a press conference outlining our new compliance program. We highlight that we discovered more of Miles's fraud and are proactively addressing it. The more genuine we look, the better the chance clients trust we're truly reformed. Valerie's shoulders relax a fraction. Good. That's the approach I was hoping you'd confirm. I know you worked with this approach in your own firm after you exposed everything. People called you the man who refused to be used. I can't help a small, ironic laugh. Let's hope that brand still resonates, though I never expected to be the face of Brighter Edge's redemption. She arches a brow. You might not be the face, but we do want you front and center, handling the press and meeting top clients. You in? I tap the binder. Count me in. If it helps bury Miles's legacy once and for all, let's do it. A trace of relief crosses her features. Thank you, Glenn. We'll finalize your consultant contract. This crisis is real, but with you steering it, we might just come out intact. I close the folder. I used to hate everything about this place. But maybe it's time to turn that hate into something constructive. Let's make sure we fix it right. Exiting the boardroom, I pass a few familiar faces in the corridor, some of them the same staff who used to whisper about Victoria and Miles. They give me polite nods, a flicker of curiosity in their eyes. I sense they're wondering, what's Glenn doing back here? I say nothing, heading for the elevator. My phone buzzes with a text from Reed. How's the new gig? Heard you're back at your old stomping grounds. I grin at his timing. News travels fast. I text back. Just a short contract, a meltdown patch-up. We'll talk later. Before the elevator doors slide shut, I catch a glimpse of the Brighter Edge logo on the wall, shining under fluorescent lights. It hits me how drastically life can flip. Just months ago, I orchestrated an implosion here. Now I'm helping them avoid a second implosion. Funny how the world works. That evening, I'm at my condo, sprawled on the couch with a pizza box on the coffee table. My mind won't settle. For the first time in a while, I'm excited about a challenge that isn't directly tied to punishing anyone. Maybe it's a sign of progress. Halfway through a slice, my phone rings, the screen displaying an unknown number. A prick of caution. Miles? Or some random reporter? Warily, I answer. Hello? A hesitant female voice. Glenn, hi. It's me, Victoria. My stomach clenches. We haven't spoken in months, aside from that fleeting holiday charity run-in. I'm sorry to bother you. I only got this number from an old contact. I wasn't sure if it was still active. I swallow, heart pounding. Victoria, what do you want? She exhales shakily. I heard you're consulting for Brighter Edge. That's good. They need you. There's a pause, like she's summoning courage. I won't keep you. I have some old records Miles left behind. I found them while sorting my last apartment. They're hush-hush stuff. Outlines of the faked deals, maybe additional evidence of his forging. I think it might help you show the clients the extent of the fraud. Confusion and suspicion swirl. Why are you handing that to me? Couldn't you just send it to Valerie or the board? She gives a weak laugh. I'm not exactly on friendly terms with the board. They see me as complicit. But if you want them, I'll pass them along. Maybe it'll help your crisis management. I rub my temple. She wants to help. Why? Are you hoping for something in return? Another job? Some redemption points? Her voice quivers. No, Glenn. I'm not naive enough to think they'd rehire me. I just want to make amends in any small way I can. This might be a chance for me to do one good deed in this mess. A part of me softens slightly. Okay. If it's legitimate documents, they could be crucial. Email them or meet up. She hesitates. I can email, but if you want the originals, we could meet, whichever you prefer. My chest tightens. Another face-to-face with Victoria might stir old wounds, but if she's genuine, it might be worth it. Let's do email for now. If we need the hard copies, I'll let you know. She breathes relief. Will do. Glenn, thanks for taking my call. I know I'm the last person you want to hear from. I close my eyes. If you're helping solve Miles's leftover mess, that's reason enough. Good night, Victoria. I end the call, ignoring the swirl in my gut. She's trying to do something right for once. I stare at the half-eaten pizza slice. Life is complicated, and sometimes grudges fade into uneasy alliances. Sighing, I toss the slice back into the box. My appetite is gone. Morning dawns, and I'm back at Brighter Edge. The building hums with tension, employees tapping furiously at keyboards. I slip into a smaller conference room where Valerie waits. She's reviewing a thick sheaf of documents. "Morning, Glenn," she says. "We have urgent news. Certain top clients are giving us 72 hours to prove we can deliver real solutions or they'll cancel contracts. Also, rumor has it a couple might talk to the media about Miles's deceit." I nod, setting my laptop down. "Then we have to move fast. I might have an extra piece of evidence. Victoria found some documents. She says it reveals more forging. She's sending them to me soon." Valerie's eyebrows rise. "Victoria's helping? That's unexpected." I shrug. She claims it's an amends. If it strengthens our stance, we use it. No illusions about her motivations. She flips to a page in her binder. "Fair enough. We'll compile everything into a robust compliance demonstration, show the clients we uncovered all leftover fraud, and implement new auditing." She glances at me. "We also planned a press conference tomorrow morning. I'd like you at the podium, explaining how we found additional wrongdoing and are correcting it." A flicker of anxiety pulses. "You sure you want me as the spokesperson? I'm basically the guy who wrecked your leadership team before." She smiles wryly. "That actually might lend credibility. We'll frame it as you being the one who uncovered Miles's manipulations originally, and now you're ensuring no stone is left unturned. Clients will see we're serious about honesty." I let out a slow breath. "All right, let's do it." By midday, an email from Victoria arrives, subject line, "Files Miles hid." My pulse spikes as I open the attachment. It's a trove of scanned documents, prototypes of marketing proposals, false expense sheets. Timestamps show Miles backdating claims to make it look like certain products were already in beta testing. In reality, they never left the concept stage. I forward them to Valerie. Her quick reply, "This is huge. Could be the final nail that proves to clients we're exposing all prior deceptions. Good job." I stare at the screen. So Victoria's intel was legit. A wave of conflicting gratitude and resentment hits me. She aided the meltdown once by letting Miles run rampant. Now, ironically, she's helping me fix it. Life can be twisted. Evening finds me in my condo, hunched over the kitchen table, reviewing the plan for the next morning's press conference. I scribble bullet points, acknowledge Miles's further fraud, show steps to rectify, emphasize new compliance team, invite clients to audit, pledge full transparency. In the corner, my phone buzzes, a text from Amber. "Heard you're making a public statement for Brighter Edge. Good luck, big guy, proud of you." A faint smile tugs my lips. Amber's unwavering support has become a steady presence in my life. She's part of that fresh horizon I yearn for. I finish drafting my statement, pack up my notes, and glance out the window at the glowing city lights. A memory flashes of me standing on a different balcony months ago, plotting Victoria's downfall. Now I'm standing here, ironically cleaning the aftermath she partially caused. The world is strange indeed, but perhaps it's a sign I'm not defined purely by revenge anymore. Early morning, I'm at Brighter Edge's main lobby, wearing a crisp suit. Employees scurry around, setting up a small podium, cameras from local press outlets arrayed. My stomach knots, but I push down the nerves. Focus on the script. This is what we planned. Valerie steps up, adjusting the microphone. She gives me a nod. "We go live in 5 minutes. You ready?" I nod, glancing at the small cluster of reporters. Some are the same faces who covered the original scandal. Their eyes gleam with curiosity, like they're eager for a sequel to the drama. Well, I'll give them clarity, not drama. The PR assistant announces, "All right, Mr. Waxman, whenever you're set." I step behind the podium, scanning the small crowd of cameras and notepads. I clear my throat. "Good morning, everyone. My name is Glenn Waxman, here in a consultant role with Brighter Edge Tech. We're here to address the newly uncovered issues stemming from the actions of a former employee, Miles Eckhart, who previously deceived both the company and certain clients. Let me be direct." I proceed, voice firm but calm, detailing the fraudulent documents we discovered, the non-existent prototypes, the manipulated budgets. Each revelation lands the reporters scribbling fiercely. Then I shift to our solution, highlighting the new compliance measures, open-door audits, and the fact that we're inviting each affected client for a personal meeting. Throughout my speech, I glimpse flickers of recognition in the journalists' eyes. They remember I'm the man who once single-handedly ejected Miles and Victoria from power. Now I'm here speaking in a measured tone about fixing the aftermath. It's a full-circle moment. At the Q&A, one reporter raises a hand. "Mr. Waxman, how do you feel about returning to a company that was once the stage for your personal marital crisis?" A hush falls. I swallow, choosing my words carefully. "My personal life isn't the focus here. We're addressing a corporate challenge. I'm committed to helping Brighter Edge rectify the damage done by prior misconduct. That's all," they murmur, scribbling. Another asks, "Any comment on rumors that your ex-wife provided inside info to help you uncover more fraud?" My pulse spikes. I keep my face neutral. I won't comment on personal matters, but any credible information that exposes wrongdoing is welcomed if it helps the company and its clients. Next question? Satisfied, they move on to client-centric queries. Once the quanda ends, a wave of relief hits me. I step away from the podium, letting Valerie handle final remarks. The press disperses, some smiling politely at me. Within hours, the media picks up my statement, headlines reading, "Exposing More Miles Fraud, Glenn Waxman's Transparency Initiative." The tone is surprisingly positive. They note how the once damning scandal magnet, referring to Brighter Edge, is now trying to rebuild. I sense a subtle shift. Maybe the public is seeing me as a problem solver, not just a scorned husband. Valerie calls me into her office midday. She's beaming. "Initial feedback is good. Clients are responding well. Some have canceled their threat to pull out. They want to see if we genuinely follow through, but at least we have a chance now." I let out a breath. "That's great news. Let's keep up the momentum." She clasps my hand. "Thank you, Glenn. You're a natural at crisis management. We owe you big time." I half smile. I never asked for this role, but it feels oddly fulfilling to fix something rather than break it. All in a day's work. Let's see it through to the end. That evening, Amber and Reed invite me for drinks at a sleek rooftop bar to celebrate. The sun dips over the skyline as we clink our glasses, the air warm with laughter and relief. Amber grins widely. "I caught your press conference, Glenn. You had the perfect balance of honesty and confidence. Well done." I swirl my whiskey, feeling a lightness in my chest. "Thanks. It's weird being on the same stage I once used to dethrone their top people, but maybe this is part of moving on." Reed nods, leaning on the railing. "Absolutely. Sometimes rebuilding is more rewarding than tearing down. Now, about our startup. We want you involved full-time once your contract with Brighter Edge wraps. We're finalizing the product. This meltdown you're handling is good training, if you think about it." I chuckle. "I suppose so. Let's see. I'll honor my short contract, then we can plan the next steps." In the back of my mind, I sense a stirring of excitement. A new life, freed from the shackles of bitterness. The night sky glitters overhead. We talk expansions, potential investor meets. Amber gives me a subtle smile every now and then, and I notice how comfortable I feel in her presence. Could there be something deeper between us someday? The thought doesn't scare me the way it might have months ago. Instead, it sparks a quiet warmth. As we leave the bar, I glance at the city lights, reflecting on how different I feel compared to the rage-filled man plotting revenge. Maybe this crisis at Brighter Edge, ironically, gave me closure I didn't realize I needed. I whisper to the neon glow, "I'm done looking back." Then I follow my friends into the swirling nightlife, heart lighter than it's been in a long time. A few days after the successful press conference, I'm in Brighter Edge's top-floor conference room again, but this time the vibe is calmer, like the building has exhaled a collective sigh of relief. Valerie, a couple of senior executives, and I review a progress report on how the clients responded to our transparency. The numbers look promising. No major contract cancellations so far, a handful of smaller ones might still bail, but the worst catastrophe is averted. Valerie updates me. We're close to signing them onto a revised contract structure. They want monthly audits for a year, but that's a small price. Great job, Glenn. I lean back, allowing myself a rare grin. Good to hear. The meltdown might be behind us then. She nods. We just need to finalize your exit plan whenever you're ready. Obviously, if you want to stay longer, the board would be happy to extend. You've proven your worth. I tilt my head. I appreciate that, but I have a startup to focus on with my friends. My role here was always short-term. I think I'll wrap up once the last client is fully on board. Valerie seems a bit disappointed. Understood. You definitely left your mark, though. Thank you for giving us a second chance. I never thought we'd see the day Glenn Waxman would help Brighter Edge recover from Miles's poison. I shrug, standing. Life has a twisted sense of humor. But I'm glad we did right by the clients. That was always the important part. She walks me out, shaking my hand. Odd to feel a sense of closure with the very company I once sought to dismantle. As I head for the elevator, a wave of satisfaction warms my chest. I've proven I can rebuild, not just tear down. Meanwhile, the local press churns out positive coverage of the Brighter Edge renewal. They cite me as an architect of its revival, ironically branding me the whistleblower who turned consultant. I can't help smirking at the headlines. The narrative once painted me as a scorned husband who toppled a company's leadership. Now I'm the comeback story, apparently. One morning, a reporter catches me outside the building, microphone in hand. Mr. Waxman, any final thoughts on your time at Brighter Edge? I pause, blinking against the sunshine. I'm proud we discovered all leftover fraud and set the company on a path of transparency. That's it. She tries fishing for personal drama. Any comment on how your ex-wife, Victoria, assisted with new info? Are you two reconciling? My chest tightens. No reconciling. We're done. I have no personal comment. She provided helpful documents for the sake of honesty, which we appreciate. That's all. Then I politely excuse myself. I'm not fueling gossip again. Days roll into weeks as I finalize the last tasks. I also keep an eye on Miles's continuing meltdown through legal channels. Word on the street says he's been arrested on separate fraud charges related to forging signatures on loan papers for personal gain. I don't rejoice outwardly, but inside, I can't deny the quiet sense that justice is truly served. Malcolm calls me with an update. Miles's hearing is set next month. There's strong evidence. He'll likely do prison time. Meanwhile, the defamation suit you filed? He can't pay a dime, so we'll get a default judgment. Symbolic victory, if nothing else. I sigh, leaning back in my condo's recliner. Symbolic is fine. I just wanted him accountable. If he's heading to jail, that's accountability enough. Malcolm chuckles. Indeed. So that chapter's effectively closed. I thank him, ending the call. Gazing around my living room, I feel a lightness. My old thirst for seeing Miles suffer is gone now that I know he's facing real punishment. I can let that wound heal fully. One afternoon, I head to a small local charity event, nothing too fancy, just a fundraiser for underprivileged kids. Amber invited me, and we plan to discuss a philanthropic angle for our future startup. She's waiting near a table piled with brochures, wearing a casual blouse and jeans. I approach with a smile. Hey, Miss Philanthropy, trying to show me up with your generosity? She laughs, handing me a flyer. Yes, well, I'm hoping your big heart and big wallet will pitch in. We share a playful banter, browsing the fundraiser's stalls. The atmosphere is cheerful, kids running about with face paint. A few local officials give short speeches about community building. At one booth, I spot a familiar figure handing out gift bags with a subdued smile, Victoria. My heart jolts. She's wearing a simple sweater, hair pulled back, looking so different from the polished VP persona she once had. She glances up. Our eyes lock. Her expression is neutral, maybe a hint of sadness. She quietly mouths, "Hello?" I nod, offering a polite half-smile. Amber notices, stepping aside to give us space. Do I approach or let it lie? My conscience nudges me to at least say hi. I move closer, careful not to intrude on her booth. She holds out a small gift bag intended for the kids but sets it down upon seeing me. Glenn, she says softly, I didn't know you'd be here. Amber invited me. I had no clue you volunteer here. My voice is calm, no bitterness. She shrugs. I've been doing a lot of volunteer work lately, trying to. Rebuild my life in small steps. Thought if I couldn't fix the corporate world, I could at least help out locally. A pang tugs in my chest. Good for you. I glance at the table of freebies, crayons, and stickers. Looks like the kids appreciate it. She attempts a small smile, fidgeting with a box of stickers. They do, and it keeps me busy. We stand in awkward silence for a moment. Then I exhale, deciding to break it. Well, I'm glad you found some meaningful outlet. How's everything else? Her gaze flickers downward. I'm surviving, picking up temp marketing gigs, living in a tiny apartment, saving what I can. It's humbling, but maybe that's what I need. I messed up badly. A swirl of memories hits me. The initial betrayal, the meltdown, the lawsuits. We've come so far from that chaos. Maybe this is the final stage. Acceptance. I nod. We all messed up in different ways. Good luck, Victoria. She smiles faintly, meeting my eyes. You too, Glenn. I'm glad you found your footing. Really, I mean that. I sense sincerity in her voice, a quiet resignation. Take care, I say, stepping away. As I rejoin Amber, my mind buzzes with a strange relief. No drama, no pleas, just a mutual acknowledgement. Maybe that's how closure is supposed to feel. Later that night, Amber invites me for a small dinner at her apartment. It's the first time I've visited her place. Cozy and warm, decorated with minimalist taste houseplants, a single couch facing a modest TV, some entrepreneurial books on the shelf. The aroma of stir-fry wafts from the open kitchen. She waves me in. Have a seat, Glenn. Hope you like chicken stir-fry. I'm no gourmet, but I can handle a wok. She's wearing comfortable shorts and a faded college t-shirt. Seeing her in domestic mode is oddly endearing. I glance around, noticing photos of her with family, some of her and Reed at a trade expo. One photo is her with a small dog. I didn't know you had a dog, I comment. She sets down a plate, smiling wistfully. That was my old pup, Charlie. He passed last year. Miss him every day. Haven't had the heart to adopt a new one. Sympathy tugs at me. Sorry. I know how pets become family. She nods, then gestures me to the table. We start eating, chatting about the day's events. She asks about the charity event. I mention running into Victoria, how it felt surprisingly calm. Amber listens, eyes empathetic. You two have come a long way from scorching hatred, she remarks gently. I poke at a piece of chicken. Yeah, I guess so. A sense of final acceptance, maybe. A comfortable silence passes. Then she sets down her fork, studying me intently. Glenn, I'm glad you're finding closure. You seem lighter now, more at peace. I've watched you transform from a vengeful man into someone who's genuinely open. My heart flutters a bit, noticing the warmth in her gaze. You helped me a lot, being a friend, giving me a space to be normal while everything else was chaos. She laughs softly. A friend, sure. Something flickers in her expression. Could it be something more? We finish dinner, chatting about the startup's next big milestone. Later, we move to the couch with cups of tea, the conversation flowing about future expansions, potential hires. At some point, her hand brushes mine, lingering a second too long. My pulse quickens. She hesitates, meeting my eyes. The air between us crackles with unspoken possibilities, but we both hold back, perhaps out of caution. Eventually, I rise to leave, offering a grateful smile. Thanks for dinner. Maybe we can do this again. She nods, cheeks faintly pink. Anytime, Glenn. Good night. As I drive home, the city lights blur outside. My mind replays that subtle moment of contact, that spark. I never thought I'd be ready for something new, but maybe I'm not as closed off as I assumed. A flicker of warmth settles in my chest. Time will tell. A few days pass and Miles is officially indicted on multiple counts of fraud and forgery. The local news briefly covers it. Disgraced marketing exec faces prison. Ties to earlier Brighterage scandal. I watch the coverage from my condo, feeling an odd sense of finality. He's truly done. My phone pings with a message from Malcolm. We have the defamation judgment, but he can't pay. No point pursuing it further. He'll be locked up. I reply, that's fine. Let it go. I stand at my window gazing down at the street. No need to beat a man who's already down. My entire body feels lighter, like a massive weight lifted. He'll face justice behind bars. Victoria is forging a new path, albeit humbly. I'm free to look forward. Suddenly, I realize with a start that my life is no longer consumed by punishing them. So what do I do with that empty space in my mind? A small grin forms. Fill it with growth, my new startup, philanthropic gestures, maybe a deeper connection with Amber. One morning, Malcolm invites me for coffee, wanting to discuss my final settlement from the fiasco. We sit at a small corner cafe, the early sun streaming in. He hands me a folder. A portion of Miles's meager assets got liquidated. You'll see a check inside. It's not much, but the court awarded it. Symbolic, like we said. I open the folder, seeing a modest sum. Symbolic is right. Still, I sign the receipt. I guess that's the last tie to that saga. Malcolm nods. So how's the new consulting role at Brighter Edge? About wrapped up, yes? I sip my coffee. Yeah, I'm finalizing a client retention plan, then I'm done. Next step is focusing fully on the startup with Amber and Reed. I'm actually excited. He gives me a knowing smile. Good. You deserve something fresh. And maybe a fresh personal start too, if you catch my drift. My cheeks warm slightly. We'll see. He taps the table. I'm proud of you, Glenn. You came out of that dark place with your integrity intact, and you're forging a new life. Not everyone can manage that. I reflect on the months of rage, heartbreak, cunning, and final acceptance. Thanks, Malcolm. Couldn't have done it without you. But yeah, I feel different now. Lighter. He stands, paying the tab. You overcame betrayal, orchestrated your revenge, and still found a path forward. That's something. We exit, parting ways with a handshake. As I watch him walk off, I exhale, feeling the city's morning bustle swirl around me. This is the calm after the storm. With Brighter Edge's crisis mostly resolved and Miles's meltdown culminating in prison time, I focus on future pursuits. Amber and Reed hold a small launch party at a boutique hotel for our startup, unveiling our new branding. We've invited a handful of potential investors, local business acquaintances, plus a few old friends. The atmosphere is vibrant, cocktail servers weaving through the crowd, a jazz trio playing soft tunes in the corner. I stand by a display booth that highlights our startup's mission, bridging finance consulting and marketing solutions with a transparent, ethics-first approach. My chest hums with pride. This is real, a world away from the vengeance that once occupied me. Reed calls me up to the small stage. People applaud politely as I tap the microphone. Evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We started this with a vision that companies deserve honest, efficient strategies. None of that shady nonsense we've all witnessed before. A ripple of chuckles. I grin. I'm proud to launch a venture where trust is top priority. We hope you'll join us on this journey. Amber steps up, adding her heartfelt thanks. The crowd claps, some stepping forward to chat about potential collaborations. I catch glimpses of smiles, curious eyes, business cards exchanging hands. It's a new dawn for me. After mingling, I retreat to a quieter corner with Amber, 2 flutes of champagne in hand. She exhales happily. That was a pretty decent turnout. People seemed genuinely interested. I clink her glass softly. They trust us because we showed the world what we stand against. Dishonesty, manipulation. Now we're selling honesty as a brand. She laughs. Who'd have thought that would be your brand after everything that happened? I sip champagne, warmth spreading through my chest. Life's full of ironies, but hey, I'll take it. Our eyes lock, a gentle tension lingering. That sense of closeness. She glances away shyly, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. I'm tempted to lean in, but the moment passes as Reed bounds over, excited about some investor interest. Inside, I feel a cautious but blossoming hope. Maybe love again, or at least companionship, isn't so far-fetched. A few days later, my final day at Brighter Edge arrives. I walk the halls, handing off transition documents to the new compliance officer. The staff gives me small waves and handshakes, many thanking me for not letting the company crumble. It's surreal, like the place I once despised is giving me a hero's send-off. Valerie meets me in the lobby for a final handshake. "Glenn, on behalf of the board, thank you. You rescued us from the second wave of Miles's mess. We'd love to keep you in some advisory capacity if you ever want." I laugh softly, tucking the final folder under my arm. "I'll keep it in mind, but my startup is my priority now. Good luck to you all. Keep it honest, yeah?" She smirks. "We will. Safe travels, Glenn." I walk out the doors into the sunlight, lifting my face to the sky. I never thought I'd end on good terms with Brighter Edge, but here we are. My phone buzzes with a short text from Amber. "Congrats on finishing. Drinks later?" I grin, texting back, "Absolutely." As I cross the street, I feel a wave of gratitude. No more corporate meltdown, no more sabotage, no Miles. Just me, forging ahead. That evening, I drive to a quiet riverside on the edge of the city. The water shimmers in the dusk light, a gentle breeze rustling the trees. I park and walk along the bank, reflecting on how drastically my life has changed. In my mind's eye, I see the entire journey. The day I caught Victoria and Miles, the cold fury that drove me, the cunning tactics, the legal battles, the heartbreak, and then this new chapter of professional redemption. My phone remains silent, no frantic calls, no threats. I'm free. As I watch the sun sink behind the horizon, a wave of serenity washes over me. I did what I had to do. I sought justice, or maybe revenge, but I didn't lose myself completely. The memory of Victoria volunteering at that charity flickers. She's on her path. I'm on mine. Miles is paying for his crimes. The circle is complete. I whisper to the softly lapping water, "Time to let it all rest." A gentle smile forms. There's a future waiting for me, my startup. Perhaps a new romance with Amber, a philanthropic approach. I step back to my car, feeling the hush of dusk cradle me. 2 weeks later, my startup with Amber and Reed officially launches in a modest downtown office space. It's not fancy, a single open-floor layout, a few desks, conference table, a coffee machine that occasionally sputters. But we're brimming with excitement. My role as financial strategy lead merges seamlessly with Amber's marketing brilliance and Reed's tech-savvy approach. The first morning, we gather at the central table, laptops open, coffee cups steaming. Amber flips through our initial client list. We have 5 small companies signed on for pilot programs. If we do well, they'll refer us to bigger fish. Reed grins, adjusting his glasses. Which means we have to hustle. I'm building the analytics software to track their expenses in real time. Glenn, you'll analyze the data to propose cost-saving measures and expansions. I fold my arms, a determined spark in my eyes. Let's do it. We apply the same no-nonsense honesty that got me recognized at Brighter Edge. No shady corners, no inflated promises, just real solutions. Amber reaches out to tap my hand. Exactly. That's our brand. Her touch lingers, eyes warm. My pulse flutters. We've grown close, but we're still dancing around the line between friendship and something more. Reed notices the moment, but pretends not to. We dive back into the meeting. Work hums along. The synergy is electric. This is so different from the environment I once battled. We're on a mission to help, not sabotage, forging trust with each other and the clients. My chest feels lighter every passing minute. After a productive day, Amber suggests we grab dinner at a casual bistro near the office. Reed has a prior commitment, so it's just the two of us. We settle into a cozy corner booth, low lighting giving the place a soft ambiance. A waitress hands us menus, and we exchange small talk about the day's achievements. At one point, Amber studies me, expression thoughtful. "You've changed a lot since that day I told you about Miles harassing me, back when we hatched the plan to expose him. You were so cold, focused, almost scary. Now you seem calmer, kinder." I sip my water, nodding slowly. I guess letting go of a vendetta frees up emotional bandwidth. I was consumed by betrayal. That's behind me now. She smiles gently. "I'm glad. You deserve peace." Her hand brushes mine on the tabletop, an intimate gesture that makes my heart skip. I meet her gaze, reading warmth and an unspoken question there. Is it time to move forward? Before I can respond, the waitress arrives with steaming plates of pasta, breaking the moment. We refocus on dinner, but the tension lingers, sweet and electrifying. Over the meal, we drift into deeper topics: life goals, old family anecdotes, jokes about incompetent ex-bosses, not naming Victoria or Miles, but we laugh knowingly. By the time dessert is offered, I realize I'm thoroughly enjoying her company on a personal level, not just professional. When we step onto the sidewalk afterward, the city lights shimmer overhead. She hesitates, turning to me. So tomorrow we meet that new client. But if you'd like, maybe we can have a real date soon? My breath hitches. A real date? My voice dips in playful curiosity. Her cheeks color. If you want. I know it's a fine line. We work together. We're co-founders. But also, I like you, Glenn. I feel a slow smile bloom, a sense of relief flooding me. Amber, I like you too. Maybe we see how it goes carefully. We keep it professional at work, but after hours. I'd love to explore something more. She exhales happily. Deal. We share a lingering hug. My heart thrums with a delicate excitement. A new chance at companionship, with no betrayal overshadowing it. Days turn into a comfortable routine. Mornings at the startup, analyzing client data, afternoons troubleshooting solutions, evenings spent in gentle closeness with Amber. We don't announce we're dating to Reed yet, keeping it subtle, but he's no fool. He likely sees the way we exchange smiles, or how she brings me coffee with an extra personal touch. In quiet moments, I reflect on how drastically life has pivoted. I used to come home to a lonely condo, replaying heartbreak. Now I look forward to phone calls from Amber, weekend outings, or an occasional dinner at her place, cooking together. This is normal, healthy, untainted. A flicker of gratitude warms me each time I realize I'm no longer defined by bitterness. Meanwhile, Victoria remains a distant figure in my mind. I hear occasional updates from mutual acquaintances. She's still doing volunteer work, scraping by with short-term gigs. She no longer tries to contact me, and I don't pry into her affairs. We both moved on. I prefer it that way. One weekend, Amber suggests a short trip to a nearby lake, part business brainstorming, part relaxation. She and I drive out in her car, the trunk loaded with a portable grill, fishing rods, and a couple laptops just in case. The winding road leads us to scenic hills, crisp air, a welcome contrast to city smog. We rent a small lakeside cabin, cozy and rustic. On arrival, she sets up the grill outside while I carry in groceries. It's quiet, just the chirping of birds and gentle lapping of water. My shoulders loosen, stress melting away. After a quick lunch, we sit on the cabin's tiny porch, laptops on our knees. I review financial projections for a new client while she sketches out marketing angles. Eventually, the sun's warmth lulls us, and we close the devices. Work can wait, Amber says with a grin, tugging my hand. Let's actually enjoy nature. We wander down the path to the lake, skipping stones, talking about childhood memories. She mentions how she grew up near a river, loved fishing with her grandfather. I share how my dad taught me to camp once, though it was overshadowed by his work stress. The conversation flows intimately, each anecdote forging deeper understanding. At one point, she turns to me, eyes glimmering in the late afternoon light. I'm glad you're here, Glenn. This is nice, just being normal. I squeeze her hand softly. Yeah, it is. I forgot how good normal can feel. A silent beat passes, and I realize how content I am. This is what life could have been with Victoria if we'd never lost each other. But maybe that path was never meant to be. That evening, we light a small campfire by the cabin, the orange flames dancing. We roast hot dogs and share easy conversation. The sky darkens to a tapestry of stars. I feel a stirring of affection as Amber cuddles closer, leaning her head on my shoulder. My pulse calms in that sweet moment, a gentle swirl of gratitude flooding me. She murmurs, "You ever imagine you'd be out here, peaceful, with a new future ahead?" I stroke her hair. Honestly, no. A few months ago, I was lost in anger. I thought I'd never trust again. But you and Reed gave me a reason to believe in something positive. She tilts her face up, a flicker of vulnerability shining. I'm happy you let me in. Slowly, carefully, we lean closer, lips meeting in a soft kiss. Heat blossoms in my chest, but it's tender, not laced with desperation or betrayal. When we pull apart, she smiles shyly, burying her face in my chest. I stroke her back, heart brimming with an emotion I've kept at bay for too long. We sit there, letting the crackle of the fire fill the silence, content in each other's presence. This is the life I never thought I'd find again. We return to the city with renewed vigor, diving into the next phase of our startup. We've landed a couple more clients, and the small office buzzes with productivity. In quiet corners, Amber and I share covert smiles or a quick brush of hands. Reed teases us gently. "You two are more cheerful than usual. Should I be jealous?" We laugh it off, but he's wise enough to see romance blooming. One day, Malcolm drops by the office, wanting to see our progress. He's impressed by the hustle, the cheerful energy. We show him some of the analytics dashboards, how we provide real-time cost analysis. He nods, sipping the coffee we offered. "You've built something good here, Glenn. Proud of you." I grin. "Thanks. It's nice to be constructing something rather than tearing something down." He chuckles, giving me a sidelong look. "By the way, I heard Miles's sentencing is next week. You want to attend? You could speak at the victim statement portion if you like, or ignore it entirely." My chest tightens. Miles's final hammer. I think a moment, then shake my head. "No, I don't need to see him locked up. I've moved on." A wave of relief accompanies the words. Truly, I have no reason to rehash that darkness. Malcolm pats my back. "Understood. Good for you, Glenn. If we get an update on the sentencing, I'll let you know, but you can stay out of it." I nod, heart strangely calm. Miles is facing the consequences, and I'm forging a future. That's enough. Late one evening, I find myself rummaging through some old boxes in my condo closet, looking for a spare phone charger. I stumble across a dusty photo album from my marriage. Carefully, I flip through a couple pages. Wedding pictures, honeymoon snapshots, the forced smiles at corporate dinners. My chest tightens with nostalgia. We had some good times, overshadowed by the ultimate betrayal. A swirl of sadness and acceptance floods me. I'm not that naive man anymore. I debate tossing the album, but something stops me. Instead, I slip it back in the box. No need to dwell on it, but no need to burn it either. That chapter is closed, but it's part of my story. I recall a conversation with my therapist about integrating the past rather than erasing it. Maybe that's what I'm doing now. A faint smile ghosts my lips. Setting the box aside, I exhale. Time for bed. I've got a new life to enjoy tomorrow. Next morning, Amber and I attend a marketing expo to pitch our startup's services. The expo bustles with booths, neon signs, and a swirl of corporate reps scouting for solutions. We set up our modest booth, a banner with our company logo, a few brochures. She handles the marketing pitch while I talk about the financial benefits we provide. A few old acquaintances from Brighter Edge approach, congratulating me on my turnaround. One remarks, "Never thought I'd see you back in marketing circles without a vengeance. Good to see you're building, not destroying." I chuckle, exchanging business cards. Between demos, Amber and I sneak glances at each other. She leans in to whisper, "We're a good team, you know." I grin. "The best." Reed wanders over, excited about a potential big league prospect. We chat animatedly, our synergy tangible. This is the future I want. Honest hustle, stable partnerships. The expo closes late afternoon, our booth drawing decent interest. We pack up, shoulders aching but spirits high. As we exit the convention center, I spot a distant figure by the glass doors. Victoria. She's wearing a visitor badge, likely scoping job leads. Our eyes briefly meet. She gives a small nod, no drama, no approach, just mutual acknowledgement. Then she slips away into the crowd. I share a glance with Amber, who caught that moment. She squeezes my hand reassuringly. I squeeze back, silently telling her I'm fine. Because I am. Victoria's presence no longer rattles me. She's just another face in a bustling expo, living her own path. One evening, Amber and I relax at her apartment, takeout containers on the coffee table, music playing softly. I mention how we've onboarded another client, which means stable cash flow for at least 6 months. She's thrilled, joking about how we might finally afford a second coffee machine in the office so we're not fighting for caffeine in the mornings. Then she grows serious, gaze drifting to me. Glenn, there's something on my mind. We've been dating quietly, but I wonder if we should define it more. I don't want confusion if we get deeper, especially for Reed's sake or any employees we might hire. I set down my chopsticks, meeting her eyes. You're right. We should be transparent about our relationship. I'm prepared to own it if that's what you want. Her lips curl into a relieved smile. Yes, that's exactly what I want. I'm falling for you, Glenn, and I'm not ashamed. We can handle any questions professionally, right? A warmth floods my chest. I reach across to tuck a stray curl behind her ear. I'm falling for you too. Let's tell Reed first. Then we'll see how or if we share with others. It's our personal life, after all, but I'm not hiding it. She leans in, pressing a soft kiss to my lips. The moment lingers, sweet and unhurried. My heart thrums with contentment. This is genuine. No secrets, no betrayal. Freed from old baggage, I can give myself fully. We spend the evening talking about the future, traveling, expanding the company, maybe adopting a dog. I feel an astonishing sense of normalcy, the kind of domestic dreaming I once thought impossible. Who'd have guessed I'd find love again after that fiasco? But here we are. Late that night, after Amber drifts to sleep on the couch, I step onto her balcony, gazing at the starlit sky. The city hums below, a gentle reminder of how life keeps moving. I let out a silent breath, reflecting on the journey from betrayal to this quiet happiness. Victoria is out there somewhere, forging her path. Miles is likely behind bars or about to be. Brighter Edge stands intact, ironically stronger than before. And me? I'm alive, in a blossoming relationship with a supportive partner, co-leading a promising startup, no longer haunted by the ghosts of revenge. I whisper to the night, I made it. The breeze rustles, as if answering with soft applause. Then I return inside, ready to continue building this new life with no illusions overshadowing it. A month passes in a peaceful blur. My startup with Amber and Reed gains traction. We land a mid-sized corporate client that drastically boosts our reputation. The office atmosphere crackles with optimism. Reed jokes about needing more staff soon to handle the workload. Amber and I share private smiles when we pass in the hallway, no longer shy about our relationship, though we keep it professional during hours. One morning, Malcolm calls with a final update on the divorce file. Glenn, I forgot to mention this small administrative detail that just closed. Your divorce records are fully archived. No further obligations. You're officially free forever. He chuckles, as if you weren't already. I nod, leaning against my desk. Thanks, Malcolm. Good to have it all tidied up. He hesitates. Also, Miles's sentencing hearing ended. He got a couple years in state prison for forgery and fraud. Not a huge term, but enough. No parole for at least a year. A wave of finality washes over me. He'll have plenty of time to reflect on his choices. Malcolm agrees. Indeed. All right, that's everything. Congratulations on your fresh slate, my friend. We hang up. I stare at the phone, quietly absorbing it. Miles is in prison. Victoria's path diverged from mine long ago. I'm free of that entire saga. A faint smile graces my lips. This time, it truly feels like the last page in the old chapter. That afternoon, an old acquaintance from Brighter Edge invites me to speak at a local business forum on ethical leadership. Initially, I hesitate. My last big public speaking gig was overshadowed by scandal. But Amber encourages me. It's your chance to champion the honesty you built your new brand on. Show people you're not just the guy who took down a cheater, you're a thought leader now. I grin at her words. A thought leader? You're inflating my ego. She laughs. Maybe, but you deserve it. So I accept the invitation. On the day of the forum, I stand backstage, heart fluttering with mild nerves. The moderator announces me, "Please welcome Glenn Waxman, a consultant known for uncovering corporate fraud and promoting ethical strategy." I step onto the small stage, scanning the modest crowd of entrepreneurs, managers, curious onlookers. My voice emerges steady. Years ago, I discovered the pain of betrayal, both personal and corporate. It taught me that cutting corners, no matter how tempting, rots the foundation of trust. My story is one of initially seeking vengeance, but ultimately, I found greater purpose in rebuilding a culture of honesty. People listen intently as I outline the pitfalls of unscrupulous ambition, referencing Miles, though not by name, and the meltdown at Brighter Edge. I emphasize how transparency and accountability can salvage even the most tarnished companies if approached with courage. After the talk, a handful approach me, asking for advice. I realize with a start that I'm no longer overshadowed by bitterness. I'm a man with valuable lessons to share, gleaned from a messy past. Feels damn good. One evening, Amber and I host a small dinner at my condo, inviting Reed and Malcolm. We celebrate hitting our quarterly goals early, clinking wine glasses in my living room. The mood is light, laughter bouncing off the walls that once heard my lonely brooding. Reed teases us, "So when do I get my official title as CFO or something?" Kidding. Sort of. We all chuckle. Malcolm remarks how impressed he is by our quick progress. Amber basks in the praise, her hand discreetly resting on my knee. Warmth spreads in my chest. We're building a real team, a real family vibe. Midway through dinner, talk shifts to philanthropic ideas. Malcolm suggests we set up a small foundation to help workplace harassment victims like those Miles tormented. My pulse quickens with interest. That's actually a good idea. We can fund scholarships or legal aid for people stuck in toxic offices. Amber's eyes shine. I'm in. Let's do it. We can name it something that references integrity. Reed nods, enthusiastic. So we vow to draft a plan soon. Strangely enough, the meltdown that once haunted me might lead me to help others avoid that fate. Late that night, after they leave, Amber and I clean up, exchanging content smiles. She pauses, leaning into me with a tender kiss. I love seeing you this happy, Glenn. I hold her gently, realizing she's right. I am happy. A week later, Victoria resurfaces in the rumor mill. A mutual acquaintance mentions she's relocated to a smaller city upstate, took a marketing role at a mid-level firm, living a simpler life. Apparently she's calmer now, focusing on charity involvement. She's not the power-chasing exec she used to be, the acquaintance says. I note the info with mild curiosity, but no emotional sting. I truly hope she's found a stable path. That's my only lingering sentiment. No desire to reconnect, no anger, just acceptance. We're different people now. Amber, hearing the update, simply arches an eyebrow. I guess she learned the cost of hubris. I nod. That's all we say on the matter. Our present is so fulfilling, we don't dwell on the past. Miles's fate also reaches me in a short news snippet. Former marketing official begins sentence, no parole request filed yet. I read it over coffee, feeling no triumph or pity, just closure. He belongs to that old story. As if to underline that, my phone vibrates with a request from the local Chamber of Commerce. They want me to speak at an upcoming panel about workplace exploitation. I accept, wanting to share insights. My days of cowering in the shadows of scandal are long gone. One crisp Saturday morning, I pack an overnight bag, planning a short road trip with Amber. We intend to visit a quaint seaside town for a leadership seminar I was invited to. She's curious about the event's networking potential, and we like the excuse for a mini getaway. The drive is serene, sunlight streaming through the car windows as we chat about the future. She jokes about eventually expanding our startup to multiple offices, perhaps traveling overseas. I grin, thinking big. Why not? At the Seaside Hotel, we attend the daytime seminar, gleaning fresh ideas on building ethical workplaces. The speaker ironically references a case study that sounds suspiciously like Miles's fiasco, but they don't name him. Amber and I exchange knowing glances. In the evening, we stroll the beach hand in hand, gulls calling overhead, waves lapping at the shore. My heart feels light, taking in the salty breeze. Remember when everything in my life was about destroying Miles and punishing Victoria? I muse softly. Amber presses close, nodding. I do. You were like a storm. Now you're the calm after the storm. We pause, gazing at the horizon dyed orange by the setting sun. She rests her head on my shoulder, and I realize how deeply I care for her. This is a quiet, gentle love, free from the old scars. Back in the city, our philanthropic plan takes shape. We establish a small foundation offering scholarships for interns who overcame toxic office environments, plus a legal fund for workplace harassment victims. Amber, Reed, and I pool some resources. Malcolm helps with legal structure, and we put out a press release. The local media picks it up, praising our moral mission. During an interview with a local radio host, I outlined the foundation's goals. They praise my transformation from vengeful whistleblower to philanthropic mentor. I chuckle, acknowledging that everyone evolves. It feels surreal, but good. Family reconnections also bloom. I visit my parents for a weekend dinner, something I neglected during the turmoil. They greet me warmly, relieved I've left the bitterness behind. My father slaps my back, proud of my new business. My mother fusses over my weight, claiming I must have lost too much stress eating. They both invite Amber to future gatherings, a sign they sense my new relationship is real. Laughter fills the house, reminiscent of simpler times. I catch glimpses of my parents' proud smiles, and a swirl of relief envelops me. They worried I'd be consumed by anger or sorrow. Now they see me healthy, forging a bright path. One evening, Amber invites me to her place for a quiet dinner again. Afterward, we lounge on her couch, her head on my chest. The glow of a single lamp bathes the room. We chat in low murmurs about random things: the new coffee shop near the office, the upcoming client pitches, our philanthropic foundation expansions. At a lull, she sits up, turning to me, eyes shining. "Glenn, I want you to know, I'm in this for the long haul. With us, I mean. I see a future with you if you'll have me." Emotion surges in my chest. I cradle her cheek gently. "I see a future with you too. One with no dark secrets, no regrets." She exhales happily, leaning in for a tender kiss. Warmth envelops me. We linger, sharing the closeness, heartbeats steady. This is the security I thought was lost forever. Now, ironically, it's deeper because we've faced storms. When she pulls back, her voice is soft. "I love you, Glenn." My heart swells. "I love you too, Amber." The words slip out naturally, an unburdened truth. Finally, time glides forward, each day a testament that we can craft a new life after betrayal. The final scene unfolds on a mild evening at a small rooftop bar where Amber, Reed, Malcolm, and a few close friends gather to celebrate our foundation's official launch. The city lights twinkle around us. Music hums softly from inside. We toast with champagne. Amber stands on tiptoes, kissing my cheek. Reed jokes about us eventually expanding globally. Malcolm applauds the philanthropic arm. I glance at the glittering skyline, recalling the countless nights I stared at those same lights with a hardened heart. Now, it's full of promise, not pain. When we drift to the edge of the rooftop, Amber and I gaze down at the bustling streets. She slips her hand into mine. "Look at us, helping people, running a startup, being happy. Who'd have predicted this after everything?" I smile, pressing a soft kiss to her temple. "No one, probably, but I'll take it." She rests against me. The breeze caresses us, and for a moment I imagine all the adversity behind me. The betrayal no longer defines me. My identity is woven with new threads: integrity, compassion, genuine love. I murmur, "Sometimes you have to lose everything to find yourself, and that's a victory all its own." My voice echoes in the night air. She squeezes my hand. We stand there, content, the city's hum a gentle lullaby,